us begin. We are in Los Angeles, California in the present day. LA is a strange town. At once, a nervous system filled to the brim with activity and life and glamour, and at the same time, empty, bereft, forlorn. The words vile and filthy come to mind also. Desperate, that's it. That stench of desperation pervades everything. The waitress hoping to finally be noticed and to get that sweet long-term network TV show gig, or better yet, becoming the next ingenue. The boy who came here to be a rock star and told himself he was only sucking a stranger's cock in the bus stop bathroom once, now wondering how he's getting out of that 20-film porn contract he signed as he's getting greased up for a gangbang. The aging star, wilted and fading, desperate for one last chance, one last whiff of success, addicted to surgical steel and off-market drugs at 33. The A&R guy with the belly, the comb-over, the string of hits in the 80s under his belt, now all gone, bitching about internet downloads killing his business as he snorts a line of shitty coke off a toilet water tank in a club where he used to bang waitresses in that storeroom. But now, he can't even get a table. The priest, who touches himself while listening to people rattle off their sins in the confessional in the near-empty Ciudad Cristiana Convent Church in El Serrano. The homeless couple in the San Bernardino Expressway underpass, who've gone from eating stray dogs and cats to luring street kids in their cardboard hideouts with meth. The film studio exec that sees that merger coming down the pipe knows he's unemployable once his dad sells and is taking it out on the 7-Eleven parking lot hooker he just picked up in his dad's Beamer. No one will miss her. Coyotes run these streets, lean, scarred animals constantly on the hunt, looking for something to chew on or to fuck or to hurt and degrade because they're desperate. If Tinseltown is the city of dreams, it's a dark citadel where dreams go to rot and die and turn into something much worse. A well-deserved punishment. Punishment for decadence, for moral rot. But not everything is bleak. Arcadion Corporation, a company that specializes in telling other companies how to run their businesses, is doing well, yes thank you, with a brand new headquarters opening in the financial district, a stone's throw away from Crypto.com Arena. There's that stench of desperation again. 50 floors of dark glass trimmed in red lights, pool on the rooftop, helipad, all the modern amenities, including a desperate workforce. But the lights are off. It's only officially opening in a month after all, still a few details to iron out and all that. The lights are off, except perhaps in one office, near the top. A dark luminescence that is barely registered with a naked eye, so dark and smoky is the glass facade of the building. There's drama, though. Something is wrong. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Our story actually begins a few miles away, in a private club, at the end of a long, secluded drive in Pacific Palisades. This is where tonight the Almanac Society is gathering to honor some of its members and introduce new prospects. Here we find John McIntire, waiting for his sponsor, Noor Qadri, one of the most influential entertainment lawyers in town, to finish chatting with Judge Reiner, tonight's keynote speaker. Tell us a little bit about yourself, John.
Yeah, John is a tall, lean man, clean cut, as you might expect, with sharp eyes and hair cropped short around the sides and back, a little bit longer on top and a little bit of a pompadour. He is wearing the best suit here. He has gone above and beyond to make sure that he stands out and that he's going to be making a good impression. Everything down to the very accessories, the watches, the pocket square, the socks, everything meticulously crafted. There's a little bit of anxiety to him, though. He wants this to go well.
Noor finishes her discussion with the judge and comes back to you, adjusting her power suit as she does so. Well, that went as well as could be expected. He'll be glad to have a quick glass of whiskey with you after the event is over, if that's still what you want.
Very good, absolutely.
All right, well, she looks inside and you can see behind the sort of nice French double doors, a little party going on, people super well dressed, all the big power players in town, all the biggest names in lawyerdom of the city, but not the big flashy ones, the ones behind things, the ones that get things moving, the ones that when you're multimillionaire movie star and you've just killed 3 hookers in a drug-fueled induced madness, you call to get yourself off the hook. As you get ready to enter the dining hall, if you will, your phone rings.
Which one?
Yeah, not that one. The other one, the one that has only one phone number in it. The one that, when you answer it, is always the same voice, that same detached, cold, clinical voice from somewhere you don't even know where it is.
Absolutely. Still a flip phone. Answer it up.
Mr. McIntire?
Yes, that's him.
A car has been sent for you. They're waiting outside. We need you. And the phone hangs up. What's John's reaction to this? How was he?
I think he holds the phone there for just a second. A look of regret on his face as he slowly closes it, puts it back in his breast pocket, and turns to his sponsor and says, "Whiskey's going to have to wait," and immediately beelines it out the door.
As you're leaving, you can hear go, "Wait, there's no waiting, John. This is it. This is your one shot. Where are you going?"
"There'll be another."
"Not with this group." As the doors close behind you and you walk out, and in fact, in the valet area, there is a very nice BMW with tinted windows. You know, it is the one you're waiting for. You slide into the back seat. There is a driver and also another man in the front with a beard, wraparound sunglasses, even though it's the middle of the night. As you get into the car, he reaches behind, hands you a little wooden box.
John will take a look at the box. Has he received something like this before?
I don't know. I'll tell you what's inside, and you tell me if he's received one of these before.
Okay.
You open it up, and inside is a gleaming pistol with a couple of clips of ammo.
John has not received something like this before,
As you,
to the best of his memory.
As you pick it up and sort of take a look at it, perhaps well trained with from, viewing dozens or perhaps more cop shows and cop films, you look for it and realize that not only is the serial number not filed off, there is in fact no serial number on the gun.
What's this for?
You need me to show you a few things, or are you okay not to shoot yourself and other people unless you mean to?
I think I'll keep myself handled. Thank you.
All right. And that's all you get as the car drives off into the night. And as the camera pans up over the darkened city, we travel into an artsier neighborhood, perhaps a penthouse up on the 4th or 5th floor of a nice building in a nice little neighborhood, where we see standing at the window, perhaps, and looking a little worried, perhaps, Mr. Chase. What is Mr. Chase up to?
Octavian Chase glances through the window out to the streets of one of the posher districts of Los Angeles, and as he does so, he takes a moment to contemplate his visage that reflects back at him, and he sees in that reflection a handsome, very well-dressed, stylish man just clinging on to the last year that he could probably reliably call his mid-50s. And he, for the most part, there's something seems to be troubling him as he glances at this. He's wearing a nice suit. He dresses in brighter colors as if to make an impression as he comes into a room. And in this room, he appears to be alone because most of the rest of the room is cloaked in darkness. One unusual aspect of Octavian Chase's garb is he's wearing very stylish, supple cotton gloves. Like the rest of his outfit, they appear to be very stylish, very probably upscale, and they match the pocket square that he has, the purple pocket square that he has in his suit pocket. And as he looks at himself in the reflection, he speaks and he says, Carla, what do we have on the schedule for tomorrow? I feel as though it's a good day to go hunting for some new artifact we can add to the collection. And he awaits the reply of his personal assistant, Carla Greer, who now we know is seated behind him.
You hear coming from behind you. I don't think that... I'm sorry, Mr. Chase. I don't think that's going to be possible. There's... she's flipping through some of the papers that are on the desk that she was working on and looking at her iPad. We do have a couple of things. There's tomorrow you're having breakfast with Anita.
Breakfast with Anita, yes.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I tried to get you out of it, but she was most insistent, and I couldn't do anything about it. And then at 12:30, you're supposed to visit the School of Fine Arts in Beverly Hills to talk to the assistant dean there. He's got some sort of project that he wanted to. It was a very mysterious email, something about some object or other that they found buried in hidden away in one of the walls of the school, and I couldn't get more out of it. He seemed very distressed, and as she's saying this, you hear the doorbell ring, and not the buzzer from downstairs, but actually the doorbell of your apartment.
Is that unusual that we wouldn't have had some kind of... I look at her and I just
you have a doorman.
Right, downstairs, yeah.
Yeah. So
I look at Carla and I'm aware that the door just rang, but there's something that's really troubling him. And it takes a minute for him to get it out. And he says, Carla, did you say assistant dean? What about the dean himself?
I don't know. It's this is just look. It's the email, and she's frantically sort of going through the iPad, getting really nervous. And the doorbell rings again, and she's like, "The email was right here. I'm sorry.
He's turned away and looking out the window now, his back to his personal assistant as she continues to fluster through her iPad.
The city looks as dark and as foreboding, yet oddly titillating as it always does. And the doorbell rings again. Should I get that?
Yes, Carla.
Yes,
assist.
Right away. She gets up and the iPad kind of clatters to the ground. Oh, I'm sorry. And she tries to pick it up, but then she realizes she has to go get the door. But then she tries to pick it up, and then she looks, and then she goes to the door. Eventually, she opens the door.
Qualifications, poise, grace, ability to keep secrets.
Well, 1 out of 3 in bed. You hear the door open, then you hear a couple of voices speaking, and then this woman walks into your living room. She is Asian, dark hair tied back in a ponytail. She's wearing a dark gray trench coat, black turtleneck, and the first thing you notice that sort of arrests your attention beyond all that, and the fact that she's got a little earpiece and a little phone earpiece in her ear, is a little pin on her lapel that's a black crown. And you know that Black Crown is a high-level security force that is sometimes hired by the company you recently worked for, Arc. And they're not the usual guys that guard the door and sort of, are on site. They're the people who have brought in the things that you've seen in the collection that made you nervous. These are the guys that were bringing these in, and sort of keeping an eye on that.
Suddenly, Octavian Chase loses some of his poise, and he just looks right at the woman and he says, "Is there a problem?"
Well, if I'm here, it's certainly not because things are going swimmingly. My name is Colleen Sato. You're needed. I'm sure I don't need to say this, but your cooperation and discretion are expected, both for your benefit and our benefit and yours. Are you ready to depart?
It will take Carla here a moment to gather my things, and while she does so, I kind of nod to her.
You see stuff flying in the back as Carla is starting to like pack your regular stuff in your briefcase. And
is there concern about my consultation?
no, we require your expertise on some matter.
Well, it is good to be required. Let me fetch a couple of additional items and we can be on our way. Can I set you up with a glass of wine or perhaps
You have
an
90
aperitif?
seconds.
What?
You have 90 seconds.
Well, a glass of wine then. And I go right to the wine glass thing and I pour 2 out and take it to her with like 30 seconds to spare. Throw one back, hand it to her, and await Carla to bring my things. Carla, 15 seconds.
She takes it, places it on the desk, starts leaving. I'm coming, Mr. Chase. I have here. And she comes in and she's got your briefcase under one arm and there's like stuff sticking out of it. And then she's got your overnight bag and then she's got like a suit bag kind of clinging to her the collar of her shirt. And she's like, I can't find. Oh no, here it is. And then she picks up your phone and then she's got the computer under the other arm and she's got something in her mouth and she waits for me.
I make sure to grab like a fresh handkerchief and I just fold it up and put it in my inner pocket. And that's literally the only preparation I do. And I just walk out the door as she trails behind me with all my stuff.
She follows you and you find yourself much like our friend, John earlier being taken to a BMW outside. However, no weapons are handed to you as you come in. Your assistant puts everything in the trunk and then kind of just stands there. And then as you're sitting in the car, Miss Sato looks over her shoulder at you and goes, "Is she coming?"
She should know well enough that she is. Carla, come.
Carla runs around. Her shoe goes flying off. She goes over. She picks it up. She comes back.
While she's doing that, I'm looking at this woman and I say, Miss Sato, if you have an agency, do let me know. I fear I shall be hunting for a new assistant soon.
She looks over her shoulder at you. You figure she's probably never laughed a single time in her life. Then she looks forward again. Carla gets in the car.
Have your people contact my person.
The car
and then I
takes
just
off.
sit back and try to look comfortable as I'm clearly not very comfortable.
As you take off, Miss Sato will look over her shoulder and go, "You'll find at your feet a black bag. Please deposit your cell phones, laptops, tablets."
No, I don't carry anything of the kind. The gloves, you see, interfere with my ability to manipulate the screens. Carla, into the bag.
Everything's in the trunk.
Everything's in the trunk, Miss Sato.
Very well. Then we're ahead of schedule on that. As the car drives on, it passes in front of eventually passes in front of a building in a industrial part of town. 3 floors, not much signage in front, very few lights kicking around. Looks like the kind of place where perhaps, illegal medical experiments would go on, but of course no such things ever really occur on this site. Mr. Levay, you are finishing up your business for the evening, closing up your briefcase. Tell us a little bit about yourself here as you are preparing to leave your office.
You see this man in his late 50s, early 60s, liver spots on his face illuminated by the computer screen, this white glow as he's just staring at the. This can't be. No. Now these results, these don't make sense. And then he's like fluttering through. He's got stacks of paper, journals, and tablets of data and numbers, and he's just pouring over. He's like, this doesn't make any sense to me. And there's sweat pouring down his old leathery face. And then finally, he just slams his hands down the table and gets up and starts pacing back and forth in this small office space, just white sort of walls, and there's a white board with all kinds of formulas on it, and he looks frustrated.
The intercom on your desk beeps.
Presses the button. Yes!
It's Chad, your receptionist, who is waiting for you to leave because he can't leave until you do.
What is it, Chad?
Is everything okay, Dr. Levay?
Everything's fine. What is it? I don't like to be interrupted.
There's a detective from the LAPD on line 1 who says he would like to speak with you.
Chad, Chad, you know I'm not here right now, right?
I tried to tell him that, but he said that he knew you were here and that if I didn't put you on the phone right away, he would charge me with obstruction of justice or something along those lines.
Patch him through.
Very well.
He starts gathering his things. He's stuffing papers inside of his briefcase.
The little light blinks on that there's the call on line 1.
I just hit cancel. And then I close the briefcase and I stand up, turn off the screen on my computer, and I walk out of the office. As I get to the door, I drop my keys, pick them up, put them back in my pocket, just shaking.
You go out the front door or the back door?
Back door.
You come out of the back door, heading towards your car. Your car is the last vehicle here. Chad can't afford a car, obviously, so he's taking the bus. But your car is in the parking lot in the back. And as always, you were very careful to park it under the lamplight that's there to make sure that you don't get any sort of wrong surprises. But as you're heading for the car, you suddenly speak, what the hell am I saying? Spot something out of the corner of your eye. You're pretty sure just around the corner of the building, you saw a head just sort of pull back as if someone had been watching you.
I stop for a minute and look. I look at my car. I'm judging distance between wall and car.
It's not looking too good.
I'm going to start walking hurriedly towards the car.
As you start heading towards the car, you stop as you're convinced you can see in what light comes in over the car the shape of someone's head in the back seat of your car. And it's a little strange because it looks like a slightly misshapen head, but it's like someone is kind of just behind.
No. Damn it. And I'm going to take off. I'm going to the subway.
All right, so you take off, cut across the parking lot next door. There's like some sort of closed up industrial cleaner plant that used to be there, and you cut across, and there's a hole in the chain link fence, and you cut through that, and then you eventually find yourself.
I catch my jacket, and it kind of tears. Oh, fuck!
And you find yourself on the next street corner, and the subway station is quite close to there. You run across the street, and as you look over your shoulder, you're pretty sure you heard that chain link fence kind of, wobble and clink a little bit as someone went through the hole that you just went through. You look back, you can't see it, but anyone could be hiding in those shadows there. There's like trees and things of that nature. So you keep running towards the train. You run down the steps almost getting into, and the LA subway station, of course, is deserted as always, and you fumble with your card and try to get into the reader, but you don't really often come through here, and the whole thing doesn't work, and there's no passes on your card. What do you do? I'm going to
try to get through.
Okay. Sorry,
just
I lost
as fast as I can. I'm certain there's someone after me. I look back again.
I'm very sorry, my Zoom messed up there, and like I lost everything for a second, and now you're back. But I got the last bit that you said. You sort of get through and jump over the turnstile and sort of run over, and you don't hear, but you see the guard in the booth sort of look up and then kind of decide it's not worth it, and then go back down, probably reading a porno mag or something like that. But as you sort of turn down and head towards the you can see clearly someone's coming down the stairs behind where you were, and you kind of make a dash, and you hear that the train is coming. And if you run and hurry, you can probably just make it in time.
I'll start running.
As you arrive on the platform, you look around. There's nobody on the platform. The train pulls up. The doors open. You can see still the shadows of someone that's about to come in. They don't seem to be hurrying towards the train, but
I'm going to jump on as fast as I can, and I'm going to walk to the farthest point I can get to from the door and just sit down with my briefcase on my knees and just stare at the door.
You stare at the door, and you can see a figure that comes around the corner heading towards the train just as the doors close and block your view from them, and the train starts going. You can finally breathe. Dr. Levay?
Huh? What?
You see, standing not too far from you near the other door is a man dressed in blue jeans, black leather jacket. He's got wraparound sunglasses and slicked back hair.
Okay, he pulls out his wallet. I don't have much on me here. Just take it. And he drops it on the train floor.
Mr. Levay, I'm here from Arc. I was told to remind you of a certain dossier we have, and that your cooperation and discretion is expected. I would ask you to get off the train with me at the next stop. I will take you to your next destination. And he reaches out and hands you a business card. You get it. It's all black, and there's embossed on it a crown.
Big gulp. Okay. I understand.
Very good. Should be arriving at the next stop soon. And as the train rattles on through the night, somewhere else, in a building somewhere downtown LA, a young woman, perhaps not feeling the best that she's ever felt, is currently sitting, hiding perhaps, under a desk in an office. Darling.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Kirsty is very small in stature, very willowy, and she has ghostly pale skin and matching pale blue eyes. Her long brown hair is disheveled and sticky with sweat. She's currently wearing clothes that obviously are not hers. They don't fit her well. A loose-fitting black cocktail dress, and she has this oversized knit cardigan in black. She's not wearing any shoes. She has no jewelry of any kind on. And she's just kind of hunkered down in this office space, it looks like. She doesn't really know where she's at currently, but she's clutching a knife to her chest, and she's just breathing heavy.
Suddenly, as you're keeping an eye on the door, there's a door nearby that's closed. It's got a glass partition in it, and you can see backwards the word security written or stenciled on that window. And suddenly you see a shape, a shadow, something on the other side approach the door, leaning close.
It's not real.
The door handle rattles a little bit as whatever's on the other side of the door is testing.
She's trying to steady her breathing. She's trying to stay as quiet as possible. All the while, her mind is just racing through possibilities, through all the things that she's heard that weren't there, that she's seen in glimpses. And there's something in her that's telling her maybe this time it's real.
You hear just over your shoulder a voice you've heard several times before. It's all throughout your life say, "It is real. Be quiet." After a moment, the shadow, the shape in the window, turns and walks away, and you hear the sound of heavy boots disappear down the hall, and the voice says, "Go now, go now."
She takes this opportunity to just burst out of the spot that she's hiding through the door, and she runs down this long corridor. She's just kind of going as fast as her bare feet will take her until she meets another door and busts through that and turns around and slams it closed and locks it immediately, and then hunkers back down into position.
You wait there for what seems like perhaps an eternity, waiting for the footsteps that would announce that whoever was in the hall with you has heard you dash down in the other direction and has come back to finally find you. They would know you're in there, and you wait, and you wait, and even the voice is silent. But then you hear a sound coming from the end of the room you're in, kind of like a little clanking sound, and then the sound of some machinery activating, and you feel a little breath of air starts circulating through the room. You're in some sort of janitorial closet. You can see that behind some of the boxes and the mops and so on and so forth, there's what appears to be a grill perhaps or something, and the vents have sort of opened, and that's where the air is coming from.
I'm gonna go over to this vent and see if there's any screws holding it in place that maybe I can pick off of there.
There are, and with your knife, you can do it. This building is brand new. The screws are still painted over and have not yet been damaged by time, and you manage with a lot of difficulty to unscrew 4 major bolts that are sort of holding this thing. And when you open it, you can see that it's a bit of a crawl space. It's perhaps 2 feet high, a little bit more, just wide enough for you to kind of fit through, but you can see that there's little lights along it, and it seems like perhaps a little bit further it opens up into a slightly bigger area, perhaps a junction between several tunnels.
Yeah, I'm gonna slip inside of there, and as I slide in, I'm gonna try to like pull the gate back behind me if I can to kind of prop it there. And I'm gonna try to wiggle my way back into that junction and just curl up and hunker down the best I can. I'm very visibly shaken. I'm fidgeting. I'm just sweating profusely in here.
And you're thankful for the sound of the machinery in the air, which silences everything from the footsteps to these voices that surround you constantly. And for a moment, you have a sort of white noise-induced peace. Meanwhile, by BMW, the 3 of you have arrived at a mansion in the hills that is overlooking the city. You find yourselves one after the other ushered in. There's a gate that opens and is guarded by a couple of guys similar to the ones that have picked you up, with dark jackets and little pins with little backgrounds on them. They all have the little headsets, and they are all evidently armed. You are brought into, at the end of this long driveway, to what looks like a nice sort of country home. very much isolated from everything around it. You see a number of black cars there, some, the ubiquitous sort of black Escalades, a couple of panel vans, things of that nature. There are a lot of guards around here. You eventually are ushered in, all three of you, into what appears to be a kitchen. It's got that sort of, classic California Mexican sort of look about it, with the colorful tile, and the wood paneling and so on and so forth. And you are sat down at the table, all three of you, and someone brings in coffee, and you can distinctly hear voices in the other room talking. A lot of voices talking one over the other, exchanging perhaps angrily at times. But you are herded into this little kitchen area, one after the other, and there's a couple of the men there with the black crowns that are hanging around, keeping an eye on you. But the three of you find yourselves there, in this little room. You know each other, don't you?
Yes.
We are acquainted. Yes.
Is this some kind of joke?
Dr. Levay, what a pleasure to see you again.
I wish I could say the same, Octavian.
Well, you can. It's simple.
But I wouldn't lie to you.
Well, I would expect nothing less. I myself, despite what may have happened in the past, am honored to be among the company of such a cutting-edge experimenteur.
Sometimes the edge cuts deep, my friend. I still remember.
Well, good. Then you remember the value of discretion that I have shown, especially with the encouragement of John McIntire here.
I trust you both remember what discretion looks like.
Yes, well, we are all here for the Arai Arcand Corporation, are we not?
Yes, we are.
Do we
And
know
that's one
more
thing
than
that we
that?
can- I'm sorry, sir?
Do we know more than this?
I know much about all manner of topics. What would you like me to wax poetical upon?
Why are we here, Octavian?
On that issue,
question.
I'm afraid I do not know. I was trying to pry some information out of the lovely Colleen Sato, Black Crown agent who accompanied me on my drive here with my assistant Carla, and she was less than forthcoming as to the purpose of our visit.
As you mentioned this, Carla comes over and goes, they don't appear to have any chai, Mr. Chase, and I unfortunately we left too quickly, and I didn't think of grabbing any. Should I ask if they would send someone out for?
And I kind of like turn to her and I say, check the back pocket of the Gucci valise. I believe I put an extra couple of packs in there from the last time. You remember.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. She hustles over, starts rummaging through your bags.
Have you met Carla? No, you wouldn't have. It was Patrick last time we met. Patrick is long gone, an able assistant, but he had to go on to finer things. The new assistant is Carla.
Carla.
Hi.
Jonathan, you must know more than our illustrious friend here. Why are we here? It is late.
That it is. And hey, you know what? Something that's nice about this company is a little bit of patience is rewarded well, I've found. And John will find a place to get himself nice and comfortable as he waits for something.
Carla comes back to you, Mr. Chase.
Yes.
Those weren't chai packets. They were prophylactics.
In the Gucci valise?
Oh, Oh, the Gucci. Oh, I'm terribly
Yes.
sorry, sir. I'm terribly
Carla.
sorry. Yes, absolutely. I'm very sorry. And she runs off again.
I miss Patrick more every day, my friends.
As you,
Doctor!
oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, please go ahead.
Dr. Levay, a little chai tea to calm those famous nerves of yours?
Water would be fine. I need to take my medication.
Of course. Carla, water, if you would, dear.
What have you been keeping
Yes.
yourself busy with, Octavian? What types of treasures have you been procuring? Anything of
Indeed,
interest?
lately, it has been less about procurement and more about curation. I've been doing some service for the Arcand Corporation, and I dare say that Mr. Arcand's tastes run to the extreme end of esoterica.
Right up your alley, then.
Right up both of our alleys, as I recall, Dr. Levay. And how about you? Have you had any luck with your continuous experiments?
We've
More
hit
luck than in the past, I should say.
We've had some breakthroughs recently, but science is an iterative process of struggle and learning and relearning, and let's say we're on the right path.
Yes, well, if you ever find yourself discouraged, know that the liberal arts also hold a rewarding path for those who trod upon it. And I think you would be just as home there using the other side of that famous brain. So always know that you're welcome. I'd be happy to instruct you in the finer points of evaluation of objet d'art, occult history, all sorts of things I'm sure you'd find just as challenging as whatever experiments you partake in that charming, shall we call it suburban laboratory you have?
Well, Palm Labs is a wonderful place to explore the edge of the scientific frontier. And while I do appreciate your advice, I'm good where I'm at for now.
I'm sorry, Palm Labs? Sorry.
Jonathan? The
Was
adults
there-
are having a conversation here.
Is there a problem with the name of the laboratory?
Oh. No, I just know the area of town Palm Labs is in.
Yes, the suburbs, as I like to say.
Yes.
We've gone through
Hollywood adjacent, if you will.
We've had a series of rebrandings in recent years, but Palm Labs has a nice neutral sort of vibe.
Well, if there's one thing agents of Arcand can agree on, it is the value of neutrality. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, I look to you specifically, Jonathan. They'll be like, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Carla, chai, how's it coming?
Yes, right away. And as she does, you hear a voice that says, "We also value discretion." And Colleen Sato walks into the kitchen, and she puts one of those black bags that you had in the car on the table and says, "Please put any communication devices you have in this bag. That includes tablets, laptops, phones, or any such devices. We will search you after. Please don't make me have to ask another time."
My assistant carries everything of that nature. I'm afraid I'm more into books and scrolls and things than scrolling things, if you know what I mean.
I'm sure I do. She looks over at your assistant like, a hyena would look at, a fresh little rabbit, and then looks back at you and goes, "She appears to be the most qualified of the two. Now, if you would, please follow me." And as you're following and she's walking, she says, what you're about to hear and witness and learn obviously is of the utmost secrecy. I have been given the all clear to tell you that should any word of what transpires here tonight or in the next few days leak out to the press and be traced back to any or either of you, not only will any of your more delicate secrets be used to the full extent, but you will also likely end up dead. I hope that by speaking frankly and openly here right now, I can avoid a lot of issues later. The matter we're dealing with tonight is extremely sensitive, and, well, let's just say that your continued cooperation and discretion is very valued.
Sounds like it's required, Miss Sato.
Indeed.
Well, then you shall have it.
Of course. Please, come along. You walk into a living room that's got, like, you know, one of those sunken in sort of middle area, and these long leather couches sort of lining all of them. There is a couple of screens up with different people on call from different areas of the world. One of the screens is black and just has the Arcadion logo on it. As you walk into the room, you see a bunch of people in that room. Everyone looks very, very concerned and very nervous. You, John, would recognize a number of people, including Mr. Harlow. You don't have to remember all these names, but Mr. Harlow, the head of security. You would see Miss Mazoud, who is Emil Arcan's assistant. You would see Mrs. Kelvor, who is Emil Arcan's lawyer. You would see Mr. Cord, who is the COO of the company. You would see Mrs. Labreche, who is the CFO of the company. Colleen Sato, of course, is there. The man that was in your car with the beard and wraparound glasses is there. You also see Sonia Santorino, one of the heads of HR for the company.
Has John ever seen all of these people together in one place?
Never in a million years. On the phone currently, or on the satellite uplink, is the voice of Emiko Arai, the other half of Arai Arcan Corporation, calling in from Tokyo. Are they in the room? Santorino says, yes, they are. Very well. Gentlemen, I'm sure you've been properly informed of the gravity of the situation and exactly what would happen if your discretion were to be found lacking. We have a serious situation and we only have a few days in which to find an answer. It is now Saturday night. Monday morning, the board of our Arcan will be made aware of the fact that Emil Arcan has disappeared. That would be very, very bad, as I'm sure you understand. A few days ago, Emil and some of his friends locked themselves away in the top floors of the new headquarter building, downtown LA, to hold a private celebration for the opening of the building of this new headquarters. And yesterday, we lost all contact with them. As far as we can tell, the building is empty. I will let Ms. Sato provide the salient information. And Ms. Sato picks up right away. She goes, Mr. Arcan, 6 of his closest friends, as well as another 7 guests entered the building a few days ago. On Wednesday night, on Tuesday night, they entered the building. As per Mr. Arcan's orders, all communications with the inside of the building were locked off, except for regular reports at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. every day. We do have biometric readings. They all were wearing biometric emitters, just so that we can make sure that everyone was doing okay. If there was any sort of emergency or issue, we would be made aware of it through the limited cognition AI that runs the building, Hera. As of Wednesday morning, 6 a.m., all people inside the building were in good health. We had heat signatures indicating a total of 14 people. The 7 that were wearing biometric emitters were doing quite well. By 6 p.m. that night, they showed various signs of perhaps intoxication, excitement, so on and so forth, but everything was still fine. And she's handing you a detailed readout of all these things. And things went fairly well until this morning at 6 a.m. when we lost all biometric data. Hera transmitted against its programming, as it had been programmed directly by Emil Arcand, not to contact the outside world. Against its programming, Hera transmitted a 1-minute video from the security cameras. A 1-minute video that I will now show you. And as she says that, one of the screens flickers to life. Through the various security cameras throughout the top floor of the building, you see basically a charnel house. There's blood everywhere. There are dead, nude bodies, savaged, mutilated, total carnage. Just an utter scene of madness and horror. I would like everyone watching this currently, including our guests, no, everyone in the room that is watching this, to give me a keep it together roll. So you will roll and add your willpower. Please do check if you have any advantages or disadvantages that might play for or against you in this particular matter. Then roll your 2d10s and add your willpower bonus. If what willpower bonus you have. If you do have an advantage or disadvantage that affects you, please let me know.
Sure thing. John rolled 13 plus 3 for 16.
You grit your teeth and manage to bear this without losing too much of your cool.
I rolled a 7.
Well, you find yourself growing extremely disturbed by what you're watching. You feel the sweat start, you feel trembling, you feel cold all of a
I
sudden.
pull out that handkerchief.
Start dabbing at your
I just
you
cost
lose
myself like $1,500 by dampening
you lose
it.
one stability as you are deeply shaken
Oh no!
by what you have just witnessed. Dave, I don't know what you rolled, Dr. Levay, but given your, professional
My professional
occupation,
interests.
I would say that you probably get a bonus on this. So it'll allow you to roll an extra die as advantage on this, in this particular situation.
That helped me out quite nicely, actually. That professionalism really shining through. That's a 17, 18 with my bonus.
Right. Well, this is perhaps a little beyond the pale of some of the things you've seen, but let's face it, once you've had your hands deep inside someone's chest, just randomly pulling things out of there, there's not that much that can really shake you too much. So you swallow perhaps a little bit, feel a little bit of dryness in the back of your mouth, but otherwise manage to keep it together.
If I may, I get the sense that Marcus would be slightly, don't take this the wrong way, but slightly aroused at what he sees, and actually kind of walks to the video screen and just kind of puts his hand almost as if to touch the screen for a moment. And then and then turns around and just says, "Have you called the police? Why are we here?"
Colleen Sato, without missing a beat, at this time, there were only 3 heat signatures that we could detect. They were 2 floors below on floor 48. At 6 p.m., all biometric data was still gone. However, we did pick up that of Emile Arcand coming in and out. Faint signal, but we do pick it up once in a while and lose it then again. Hera transmitted against this programming once more 1 minute of video from the security cameras. As the new feed plays, you see the place is completely empty, completely clean, no bodies, no people, nothing moving. It's as if nothing had ever happened. The only thing that you do see in one of the last cameras is what appears to be a trail of bloody footprints leading to or from, it's unclear, the shower area in the pool area on the top floor. At this moment,
On the top floor, did you say?
Yeah. At this moment, there were still 3 heat signatures still on floor 48. There was 3 heat signatures on floor 48. You realize there was around 7 tonight then that you were gathered. Gentlemen, I'm sure you understand that not only is this disturbing in the basic sense of we've lost contact with a group of VIPs, but that there also seems to be something a little bit more unexplainable at play. Mr. Chase, you've some experience with matters that go beyond perhaps what most people understand as normal. So do you, Mr. Levay. We would like you to accompany a few of our people inside the building, primarily to find Emile, but also to perhaps try and understand what's happened. But make no mistake, the priority is finding Emile Arcand alive. Everything else is a distant second.
I'm sorry, the 3 heat signatures were still there an hour ago?
Yes. They're checks over her shoulder, someone nods, they're still there right now on the 3rd floor, on the 48th floor, sorry.
The 40th or 48th?
48th.
Okay. And the pool level, is that floor 50 or is that?
Yep.
Okay. And has Octavian Chase, he's done some work for the Arcand Corporation. Has he been in this building before?
Yeah, you have. You've been on floor 48, actually. Floor 48 is where the exhibit that you put together, you curated for Armand of his curios collection situated. So you've been on the 48th floor.
Maybe that's why I took it so crazy, because it was all bloody, and I've actually been there before, so I'm kind of freaking out about that. Yes, I helped curate a collection on the 40th. I would be an ideal candidate to help get to the bottom of this, and I will do what I can to ensure that Emile Arcand is returned, and we can all put this unpleasant business behind us.
The Sonia Santorino, the HR person, goes, the company thanks you for your service. John, you will be accompanying us, as you know these 2 gentlemen very well, and, well, I'm sure they will find your presence and your assistance to be most useful. Do you have any questions?
Could you replay the video for me once before
that won't be necessary, will it?
Indeed, it will be necessary, Octavian. Thank you very kindly.
You can review it again on the trip over to the building.
Yes, I shall.
We've also taken the liberty of providing you with, and she'll give you a map of the floor, and a list, a readout of all the communications at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and all the biometric readings and all of that, which you will find in the clues sheet on your Google spreadsheet. You will also be told that no one knows the identity of the 6 VIPs that were with me at Arcon, they all had code names assigned to them by Mr. Arcon. Mr. Arcon had chosen the name Gisa for himself. The others were known as Rhodes, Alexandria, Halicarnassus, Artemis, Olympia, and Babylon. That is all we know of them. They were close personal friends of Mr. Arcon, and he ensured that their identities were kept secret.
I know we kept biometric data for those 3 heat signatures that are left. Do we have any idea, any hint, any?
You, in fact, do not have biometric data. The 3 heat signatures that are left are 3 people that did not have biometric emitters. Only the 7 principal guests had biometric editors. The others are only being read through the external heat sensing.
Those would presumably be the close friends of Emil Arcand.
Each of them had a companion, so might be 3
Say
of
no
them.
more. I understand. We've all been to that kind of party, right?
I've never been to a party in my life.
Right.
You'll be accompanied by Miss Santorino, who is, for all intents and purposes, in charge of this particular, she struggles a little bit, expedition. You will also have with you, and you notice a woman that was sort of hiding behind some of the computers and kind of working some stuff, Dr. Randa Carlisle. Dr. Carlisle is one of the people who designed ERA. She might be able to access the computer system and override some of its encoding left behind by Arcand. You will also have Mr. Davis call, and she points to the man with the beard and the slick back hair that was in a car, as well as 4 security officers accompanying you.
You anticipate that we will be in danger?
There are at least 11 people missing. And from what we've seen, there was evidence of violence, even though it's appeared to have been cleaned up. There are 3 people left alive in there. Chances are that at least one of them is armed and prepared to cause havoc, as you've seen.
Dr. Carlisle, is it?
Yes.
Could you tell us this Hera that you've developed? What can you tell us about its?
Hera is what we call a limited cognition artificial intelligence. Basically, it is a form of restrained artificial intelligence that cannot learn on itself. However, within the protocols established for it, it is extremely powerful and can operate independently. But again, only within certain parameters, and any new learning parameters have to be input by technicians on the outside.
Hence the restraints.
That's right. It's difficult to understand that Hera would have gone against programming left behind by Arcand, unless part of that programming was also that if things went seriously awry, that Hera would reach out for some help.
Awry.
Well, it's one way of describing what's going on up there.
It's a pun, you see, from the name of the corporation. No, never mind. Never mind.
Everyone kind of looks at each other. No one seems to have a sense of humor at all right now.
Tough room.
You've done better, Octavian.
But I'll be coming along, and she's got she's preparing she's got a portable computer and so on and so forth. Ms. Sato says it is, of course, imperative that, as you know, no communications with the external world happened until we've sorted this situation out, for reasons that I'm sure you can appreciate.
Of course, of course. I will have a chance to review the footage again, though, yes?
Yes, Doctor.
I assume there's no concerns about my personal assistant Carla assisting me and accompanying me into the building.
And
She was quite helpful
like-
when I helped curate the collection.
everyone sort of just takes notice of her for the first time, realize that she's in the room. Someone's like, how did she get in here? If you find that you will need your assistant and you can ensure her discretion, then I see no reason why.
I assure you that the series of non-disclosure agreements I've had Carla sign are hermetically tight.
Well, if there are no more questions, time is of the essence. I would urge you to make what final preparations you need and to accompany us. We will take you forthwith to the headquarters.
Very well.
So,
Here's to
Is there
adventure, and
Oh.
yes, there.
is
Looking
there
forward.
anything you want to say or do before you go?
After things kind of calm down a little bit, which would include other people asking questions, I do want to approach Miss Santorino. Just kind of as things are clearing out and we're headed toward the car or whatever, like a little off-camera moment.
She's very tall. She looks like she probably power lifts a little. She's got straight, long black hair, power suit on. Very sort of direct demeanor and gaze. You would know her, John, as someone with a very strong reputation, been company a long time, very ruthless, very loyal. Definitely the kind of person you expect would be put in charge of this type of thing. But yes, so you approach Miss Santorino. Can I help
Yes,
you, Mr. Chase?
Yes, Miss Santorino, it's my understanding that among the many tasks that you perform for the Arcadion Corporation, that you're a director of human resources. Is that true?
I am not director of human resources, but I am fairly high placed within the department. Why? Is there anything I can do to help?
Very, very good.
A problem with your contract?
No, everything is fine with my contract. But I did have a couple of quick questions while I have you. Do the health benefits extend to my personal assistant, Carla?
I would assume so, yes.
Very, very good. And then also, perhaps, as an agent of human resources, you could let me know if you are aware of any good agencies for personal assistance. New ones, you see?
Well, if something happens to your assistant, we will do everything we can to help you find a suitable replacement.
Oh, heavens!
That's
I
what
was
you were
not.
worrying about?
I was not suggesting that anything would happen to Carla. She is most capable, but perhaps I will be expanding or perhaps replacing. There's certain.
If I was you, Mr. Chase, I would
Yes?
probably focus on trying to get through the next few days, as I'm not sure you got a good look at the video footage that we just saw.
I saw enough of it, dear. It was
Exactly.
ghastly.
And I'm going to be very honest with you here and say that I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on, but I doubt it's going to be any sort of fun corporate retreat. And so perhaps you could worry about the job at hand first and foremost, and worry about peccadillos such as your assistant and your contract at a later date.
As long as there will be an opportunity to address certain issues that might exist with those after the fact, of course. I mean, I'm more than happy to take a rain check. I understand the priorities of the corporation.
John, could you show Mr. Chase to the vehicle, please?
Of course. John
hello,
was actually just speaking with Carla, if it would be possible to have a quick a sidebar conversation.
Absolutely. Carla's like, what should I do with the tea? It's I don't think it's hot anymore. But well, do you think we can bring it with us?
Sure, we could probably throw it on him too, right?
Oh, he wouldn't like that. He's this shirt that he's wearing is his lucky shirt. It's his pickup shirt, and if it were to get stained with something, it would be just it would be horrible.
It would be terrible, terrible.
Absolutely.
As bad as that video we just saw?
What video?
You didn't see the video.
No, I was wondering what I should do with the tea, and then I thought maybe I could run into the room and use the microwave if they have a microwave to sort of warm it up, and then I thought, that is really stupid because this is a kettle, first of all, and it's made of metal, and then I could just plug the kettle in and then it would sort of warm itself. I don't need to put it in the microwave oven. And so while I could tell that people were sort of dry heaving and whatnot, but I totally missed what went on.
Probably for the best, if I'm being honest. You hope you don't mind me saying, you seem like a real go-getter.
Oh, I don't know about getting her, but I'm open to possibilities.
Well, if you're ever looking to outgrow what you're doing now, come find me.
Oh, you need an assistant? My friend Betty's looking for a job. She's really, really good. She's really smart, like even smarter than me. And she would make an excellent assistant for you. She's just working at a Dunkin' Donuts right now. But she really is looking to sort of move up. And if you want, I could slip her your number, or you could just drop by the Dunkin's at some point. It's the one on Wilshire Boulevard, right next to the In-N-Out on Radford.
Yeah, Chili's are right across the street.
That's exactly it. You've been, and anyways, so yeah, Betty.
Fair enough. You know what? I'll stop by there after this for sure.
Excellent. I still don't know what to do with the tea.
Oh, Dr. Chase, Mr. Chase.
So, do you still want the chai?
Of course, Carla. Carla.
All right. I'll go warm it up.
See that you do.
Anything else? So you will be taken to outside to one of the panel vans. You'll be given what equipment you've brought that they feel is safe to provide with you. Dr. Levay will get to see the footage again on an iPad that will be shown to him and then taken away immediately after.
Poor guy.
Did you want to do something specific with that, Dr. Levay?
Yes, of course. I want to review specifically Saturday morning's footage and slow it down for me. It's a bit slower. Thank you. That's
Don't you know how to do that?
No.
Carla's like, just, and she puts her finger on the thing and just kind of.
Carla. Thank you.
Oh my God! Is that blood?
Carla, the chai, please.
Basically, Dr. Levay is examining the footage with the intent of observing a situation unfolding. Is there anything? Well, I guess let's adjudicate that first.
Let's see if you get some questions asked. So do give me then a investigate or observe a situation you want to do.
Okay, and I'm going to use the advantage that we got at the beginning of the game. For
okay,
this.
Are you doing observe a situation or are you doing investigate?
I
think investigate would probably be more. Look at the questions that you can ask and then sort out what you think you would like to
I'm going to go investigate for sure.
Go
that
for it.
Seems better. Yep. All right.
So that's 2 dice plus your reason.
Yeah.
I think I just saw Little Bones giving some advantages in the chat. But
Yes, she did.
I rolled a
got
9.
an advantage from Little Bones.
Thank you, Little Bones.
I got
What'd
a
you
9 with my. I rolled like shit, so a 9 total.
All right. So the 9 gives you. You may get some information if you want, but you will have to pay a price for it. In this particular case, it's difficult for me to tell you what the price will be until you tell me what the questions are. But if you want, you can tell me what the questions would be. I will tell you what the price would be, and then you can decide if you ask the questions or not.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to. I'll pay the price.
Well, you don't have to decide now. Tell me what you want to ask, and then I'll tell you what the price will be, and then you
got
can
it.
decide based on that if you want to actually ask the questions.
So what I'm trying to ascertain is if there is something fabricated about either the footage itself or what's captured on the footage.
Okay, cool. The price will be that someone will notice how intently you're looking at this and is likely to think that you're actually looking at the carnage, the blood, all that, and, you know, kind of having perhaps too much of an unhealthy interest in what you're seeing rather than understanding that you're trying to kind of get a technical sort of look at this thing.
Yeah, it's a technical look, but there is a bit of extra saliva production going on in his mouth at the moment.
Well, I think that the price that you'll pay is that your one or more of your companions will notice this and will probably think the worst of what they might think in that situation.
This footage seems to be quite legitimate, and he just kind of hands the iPad back to whoever is right next to him.
Are you asking the question, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the question is if there's.
I know, because you just answered it for yourself there, but so you decide to pay the price. All right. So yes, in fact, it does look absolutely legitimate. I will ask you to do another check as you're doing this. I'll ask you to do a see through the illusion check, which is a roll plus your soul, which we know you have none of, but.
I have no soul. That's an 11.
Okay, and while that's going on, could John and Mr. Chase please each roll a d10 and tell me what you get? What was that? I'm sorry, Dr. Levay was an 11. You watch the footage, Dr. Levay, and as you watch it, you see very quickly, very momentarily, a sort of flicker in it. That at first you would take for a flicker of someone has doctored the footage, in that you can still see when you're looking at the cleaned up footage, you can still see sort of echoes of the blood and the bodies and all that. But there's absolutely, you do not understand in any way, shape, or form how that could be technically. So you're pretty convinced that that kind of flicker or momentary sort of ghostly image that you saw, you're really not convinced that it's technological.
I'll just kind of go
it's
back.
It's almost as if there was like two things that were filmed at the same time and superimposed.
Julia, did anyone else have access to this footage from the system?
No, it came directly from Hera. And this is the original copy that we received.
From Hera. Very well.
As for the 2d10 rolls I called for?
John rolled a 4.
I got a 2.
John, you saw as Dr. Levay was looking at the footage, you saw that he seemed to be quite excited by it, on the level that it disturbed you a little bit, in that he seemed to be, kind of enjoying it. And it was a little disturbing to watch.
John will just take a mental note, along with all of the other mental notes he has on Dr. Levay.
I will give you a little bit of narration, and we'll take a short break. And I'm sorry, Creep, that we haven't had too much to do with you yet. But,
no, I am enjoying. I'm the fly on the wall this evening right now.
Time will come. As you are driving over there, you are told one final piece of information, and that is that there's an elevator that will take you to the 48th floor. To go beyond that, there's an executive elevator. That executive elevator requires biometric data from people who have access to it, as well as a voice-activated security, so a password that has to be spoken. And so it's unclear how you will be able to get to higher levels. So your one of your first tasks will be to try and find a way to gain access to those levels. As the van approaches the Arc building, you look up to see the dark cubic sections piled atop one another, each at a bit of a different angle, so that the whole tower looks like a set of black, glistening blocks precariously perched atop one another by a giant. The crown is lost in the gray-orange smog above, and the few lights that you can see blink at you like lidless eyes. The sense you get as you take it in is one of unmitigated power. And sure, Arc is a substantial player in its field, but somehow the sense of mastery and power emanating from this building is way more than what it should logically inspire. It's neither the biggest nor tallest scraper in the area. You get a definite sense of a vast hegemonic entity, a rain and smog-drenched monolith, staring down with regal superiority at the peasant city at its feet. That's you, a peasant bent in supplication at the feet of your monarch. Bow your head now as you penetrate the bowels of the building, entering the underground parking garage. Swallowed, mortals come to beg at the altar of their corporate god. You have with you Davis Call and 4 other security guards. You have Carla, your assistant, and Mr. Chase. You have with you Sonia Santorino, who's the head of HR and is ostensibly the sort of boss of this particular undertaking, as well as Radha Carlyle, Dr. Radha Carlyle, who is one of the computer engineers who designed Hera, the limited cognition AI that runs the building. The doors open, and you can check out the owlbear if you wish, as I have put up a map by Solution Maps. On the reception area, the doors of the elevator open on the reception area of the 48th floor. As you were advised on the way up here, in order to rise higher to go to the 49th and 50th floor, you have to take the executive elevator, which requires both biometric data of someone who has access to that floor and a password being spoken. So part of your job will be that. But once you get into the building, you realize that the building is operating on very low power and basically just sort of emergency lighting almost, the entire area. So this is a brand new building. It's not even completely finished yet. Everything is top of the line, super modern. Everything is white, very cold, very Spartan, very almost futuristic sort of in its look, and a lot of glass everywhere. All the computers have these sort of glass only sort of holographic displays. Like they've put a lot of money into this. This is their new world sort of headquarters, and they really kind of went to town with it. As you enter into the reception area, Miss Santorino is busy divvying up the various tasks at hand. She will remind you that your priorities are to first turn the main power back on, then to get to the security room, gain control of Hera, the limited cognition AI, and then try to find a way to access floor 49. So she herself will take Mr. Chase aside and go, perhaps you and I could go and take a look at the room that you helped set up recently, if there's anything out of the ordinary. Perhaps, don't you think it might be a point of origin?
I would be delighted to show. Have you had the pleasure of examining my display as of yet? Carla and I spent many hours.
The first time I get up here.
Oh, I can take you through it. Oh, delightful. Carla, come with Miss Santorini and I, and we will let us return to the scene of the crime, so to speak.
And while that's sort of going on, Dr. Forget names. Dr. Carlisle will say, any of you good with computers?
Dr. Carlisle, if you wouldn't mind, I join you. I have a bit of programming myself. Perhaps I can be of assistance and would like to talk with you more about this system you've developed, this Hera.
Very well, I can use the help. And meanwhile, Davis called the head of the security detachment, the Black Crown security detachment. I will say I'm going to go see about getting some juice back on here.
I'm with you. Let's do it.
All right, so 2 security guards will go with Miss Santorino and Mr. Chase, and Carla. 2 security guards will go with Dr. Carlisle and Dr. Levay, and you, John, and Davis Call will head out to get the power going. So let's start with the power, since that's kind of the first thing that sort of needs to happen. If you, the lot of you, the players, want to look at the floor layout of the map that I've set up, I'll just give you a sort of an idea where you're going so you can be oriented. You are going straight out of that door on the right-hand side, Dr. Levay, into the security area. So there's like a main security waiting area, and then you can see the security office itself sort of beyond it. So that's F and G on the map that you have. As far as Mr. Chase, you are going to room I, so you'll be taking the door that leads straight down, going down that hall, and eventually turning left and going into the room that you've curated, and I will give you an opportunity to talk about that a little bit here in a second. Meanwhile, Carl and John will be continuing through the exposition and coming back in, and the room that you're looking for is room E, at the very bottom there. That's where the control panels for the power are situated.
Perfect.
So you and Davis will be heading down that corridor. You will cut through the exhibit a little bit and sort of throw back around, and eventually find yourselves in this room. I'll pull up the map again just for a visual. I would ask you, if you would, John, give me, and the rest of you can also make this roll right now if you want, and just keep it in your pocket for a second, because I'll be asking all of you for the same thing. But please go ahead and give me a seeing through the illusion roll, all of you, and we'll start with John and see what he comes up with.
Perfect, and that is with soul.
Yes.
Which John, as a company man, has plenty of.
Of course.
That is a 0 and a 2 on the die. Is that 12? And then
A 0, yes, that would be a 12.
Perfect. So -2, that is 10.
All right. So 10. As you walk through into the towards the back of this thing, you hear very briefly, as there's only you and Call, sort of you come through the exhibit, and then you go through into the corridor to head into the room, and just as you're about to turn to go in that direction, if you're sort of walking down in the exhibit, and there's a door up there, and then you take the door to the right. Just as you turn in front of that door, you hear a voice in your ear, and it's a voice that is kind of familiar, but at the same time a little bit different. You hear, over here, John.
John will kind of look over his shoulder to where he's hearing the voice coming from.
It seems to be from that room at the bottom of the exhibit room, at the bottom of I there.
Okay.
The voice that you heard, it's not quite that voice, but it was, you feel perhaps Kirsty's voice.
Call.
Yeah.
Over here.
We don't got time to dick around, man. We got to get the juice going.
If we had time to do, if you really think that I'm going to be the one who's dicking around with you, come on, over here.
Look, at this point, I don't fucking know what's going on, so.
Well, I'm going over here. I think we might have a live one.
He follows you. What do you got?
Are we able to open this door? Is it one of those reader kind of doors? Is it locked or secured?
So when you approach it, the first thing that you notice is that near where the handle would be, and it looks to be a custodial room, like a janitor's room, near where the handle would be, you see part of a palm print in blood, sort of next to where the handle would be, like someone like kind of mess around with the handle or something like that.
John will point at the handle and look at Call and say, "I think I heard someone. I think we've got a live one."
He'll reach over and he'll grab the handle and he'll sort of try to, unlock it. And he's like, "This thing is locked solid, man. Like, we're not going to be able to open it until we get some power on." He'll peer inside. He pulls out a flashlight and he kind of peers inside. And you can see it's pretty narrow. Narrow room. I'll give you a little quick visual here of it.
Okay.
It's not oriented correctly. It's one of the few that I didn't orient correctly. But so you're basically at the door there, and you can see it's got cleaning supplies. Everything looks kind of brand new. Nothing seems out of place. As he shines this thing, and there's really nowhere for anyone to hide in this room. It's not like someone could be behind a box or a rack or anything.
Okay. Well, maybe we can come back when the power's on.
Yeah, let's get that juice going.
Let's move quick.
Is this place already getting to you, man? We just got here.
Cool as a cucumber over here.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a cool thing for me to say, but
no, usually you don't self-apply that shit. Other people have to say it about you, otherwise it stops being cool.
You know what? We're gonna start this over. Yeah, let's power room.
All right. So you get to the back room where the control is. This room is a little different than the others. It has a regular handle, so it doesn't require power to get into it because they're smart. And as you approach, Call will pull out a key from his thing. It looks like a skeleton key, and he puts it in, and he unlocks it, and then he jimmies it, and then the door opens. And you get into that room in the back, and you can see that, there's just a few lights sort of going on, a little bit of a humming noise that's sort of happening. And he reaches inside his jacket and he pulls out a notepad and he flips it open and he's like, hold on, I got some instructions here. And he starts going through it. And as that's going on, give me an investigation roll.
Sure, you got it. Okay. That is an 11 plus. That is reason. -1, so 10.
A 10. All right. So you can ask me one question about the area. I will. This information is going to come at a cost. Again, until I know exactly what your question is, or it might require an expending extra time or resources. I will say that you can ask me a question about this room, and there's a list of questions there to inspire you. You can ask me one of those questions about this room, and if you do that, it will slow down your getting the power back on, which might have an effect on some of the other groups in a few minutes.
Okay. And I can choose not to ask a question, and that would...
That's
help.
Right.
Okay. I'll ask the question as he's going through all of his instructions. Kind of, what am I looking at here? How can I find out more about how we can get this power online?
So one of the things you could do is that there's kind of a terminal in one corner that maybe, if you go as some sort of instructions or when that as Davis is fiddling with his little paperwork, you might be able to get something out of that sort of monitor situation in the corner, this little computer situation in the corner.
Sure. As he's kind of fiddling with his papers, I'll go over there and just say, hey, come on, we can figure this out, and start messing with the module.
As you approach the module, your foot hits something that kind of makes a clanging noise and rolls. And when you look down underneath the desk, you see a couple of things. When you see a couple of empty cans of Red Bull that are sort of littered there, as well as littering from some vending machine candies or things of that nature under the desk there.
Interesting. Taking a peek down there, just kind of litter from the build crews, from the install crews is.
Probably not. The place is pretty pristine and pretty well clean. There's nothing in the waste bin. It seems a little out of place.
I'll mention it to Davis. I'll say, hey, someone else has been here.
We'll look under the desk. Oh, maybe that was just left behind by the cleanup crew. But that makes no fucking sense. You're dumb, Davis. He bends down and he picks up one of the cans and he's like, what the fuck? And he lets it go right away. It's like, what the flying fuck is that?
What's wrong?
There's like gunk on it. Someone fucking drop a load on that thing? What's going on?
Get your flashlight?
Yeah, and he hands it over as he's trying to find something to wipe his hands on.
I'll click and point the flashlight at his hands.
So on his hands, it just looks like maybe it was wet or sort of dirty, like there's a bit of a film on it, but he's kind of wiping it off already, so it's kind of gone.
Turn it over to the cans and kind of the stuff.
When you check it out with the flashlight, the best way to describe this is, imagine if you were to grab something and as you dropped it, you left some of your flesh behind on it. There are on the cans and on the wrappers little bits of pinkish flesh, and you can very clearly see fingerprints bit on one of them. It really looks like someone has shed part of their skin.
Davis, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Why?
Maybe I must be seeing fucking things, but it looks like someone.
Dude, I was told you were stone cold, man. What's going on?
I am. You look at this. You tell me what you think, and he'll point out. He'll share what he's seeing, and take a look at this. Come on.
I don't know, man. Red Bull's some nasty shit, I guess. I don't know. What?
Yeah, Red Bull's so nasty it sloughs off your hand. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, look, man. I don't know.
All right, let's focus on the power. Come on.
Fucking some guy's got alopecia or something. I don't know. Some guy's shedding. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, he's got alopecia, pieces of hand all over the place over here.
What am I, a fucking doctor? There's two doctors in the other room. Ask that fucking creep Levay. He'll know. He looks like he's fucking slaughtered off some skin in his time.
Yeah, he does.
He looks like he sheds, actually.
Probably
sheds. Leaves like little bits of dried skin everywhere he goes.
He probably saves it up in like a container too for later.
Yeah. Munches on it. He looks like a fucking cannibal. Look, go over there and on those things, everywhere where you see a little green handle, flip that up and then press the button that's right next to it. I'll do these ones here.
Got it. John,
so as you do that, you flick that and you press them, you can feel the machines going off. You can feel the lights sort of increasing in the area. And he waits for a few moments and you can see the readouts on the computer and it looks like things are sort of popping. It's like, all right, it's probably going to take a couple of minutes for this to juice up. I don't know. You want to bag some of these cans and bring them over?
Yeah. Do we have those materials on hand? Do we have what we need to bag this?
You have pockets?
Yeah, I'm not putting this shit in my pockets. No.
Look, well, we'll come back.
Do you see the
Let's
suit?
go to that. Let's go to that custodial thing that we were looking at earlier. There's probably garbage bags or something in there. We can grab probably like rubber gloves and shit.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go scope that out. While that's going on, you, doctor, not doctor, sorry, I'm going to finish with the computer. I'm going to finish with the doctors. Mr. Chase, Carla, Santorino, you find yourself into a room that by now you know very well, and that is the exhibit that you were tasked with curating and preparing. Mr. Archon, the head of this company, has quite an extensive collection of curios and occult objects and so on and so forth, and he wanted, as the sort of centerpiece of this new building, to have a room plate to display some of them, and you were hired because
of 7 wooden shards on the wall, wooden placards, and they are indeed a selection of Ouija boards from the 19th to 20th centuries, from William Fold to the Hasbro Corporation. Not real. And then he takes a couple of steps down and he says, here we see a selection of items from late 19th century spiritualism. You see the spirit trumpet that the medium would have spoken from. Over there in a frame, you see a bit of genuine dried ectoplasm, said to be harvested from the collection of Houdini himself. Fakes. Here, next to this, you see we have a dagger from a satanic ritual. I trust you sense a pattern. Next, here on this beautiful, beautiful pedestal, you see an alchemical Athanor and a first edition of the Chimeric Wedding, a very famous alchemical book. Now, these are indeed genuine historical artifacts. Do they hold an ounce of real magic? Of course not. Now, here is an item that...
What you're telling, I'm sorry to interrupt your oratory.
Yes, there are several more displays.
You're telling me that you believe that some of these things actually have magic in them. Not these, as according to you, these are all fugazi, but that there are things in this world, satanic daggers and such, that would hold some sort of magical powers. Such as in, what's that game the kids love to play today? The Trail Finder or whatever it
Pathfinder,
is.
yes, it's a very popular game. Yes, I can assure you, I have traveled across the world, and although most objects that people believe are infused with occult power are merely baubles or trickery, the world is indeed a strange place, as the video has given us evidence today. And there are indeed items of great significance right here in
Mr. Chase, could you repeat that last line? I'm sorry, I'm trying to take all this down, but you're talking just a little bit too quickly for me.
Yes. No, thank you, Carla. The world is indeed a strange place. And as one examines deeper and deeper and sort of pierces the veil of reality, one discovers that while many items are simple acts of japery and trickery, others hold true arcane power. These, and he
How do you spell japery?
J-A-P.
Oh, no, never mind. I got it. Autocorrect got it.
Here,
Thanks.
and he walks up to the wall where there is like in a frame, these like really disgusting it almost looks like a dried skin of some kind. And then you look at it and it's like there's 2 legs to it, and he says, these are the famous devil pants of Iceland. They are made, it is said, of human skin. We had these tested, and they are in fact goat skin. So this is not the genuine article, but there is one. Well, let me tell you, in order to curate this, Mr. Armand, the instructions that I received on behalf of Mr.
Wait, I'm
Armand,
just at goat skin. Okay, keep going.
Catch up, Carla. The artifacts that I was asked to catalog on behalf of Mr. Armand are in fact, in a vault in the basement, and I was given very strict instructions not to include some of the, I guess I'd say, more disturbing items that I came across in that true collection. There was, however, one item of power and significance that Mr. Arcand insisted would be the centerpiece of his collection. And then I kind of pull them to the center of the room. Is the item that I'm thinking of currently on display?
It is the man sitting.
Yes. I turn to Miss Santorino. Miss Santorino, of course, I assume that you are aware of the famed 20th century French philosopher Georges Bataille.
I probably skipped that class.
Well,
could you catch me up, perhaps?
I am pleased to tell you, we stand in the presence of Mr. Bataille himself, or perhaps a reasonably sculpted approximation thereof. You see, he is seated here upon what appears to be a basalt throne as he reads from a librum that is bedecked with the image of Da Vinci's famous Vitruvian Man, a sort of idealized human form. But look closely, and you will see that on this librum, on this depiction of Da Vinci's
it doesn't have a head.
Man, it does not have a head.
I
Indeed.
didn't notice that
What
the first
does the
time we were in here.
Perfect
head.
man symbolize? Now, Carla, you were here the whole time. Anything else about the philosopher Georges Bataille? You remember what I told you?
Yeah, I have notes here.
Yes. Read them off to Miss Santorini.
So Mr. Bataille was he was a French philosopher,
Yes.
and he believed that in order for humans or men, because they were all sexist back then. I mean, they still are pretty much all sexist. But so in order for all for a man to achieve the greatest level that one could do, a man had to shed all intellect, not intellect, but what's the word? Logic. You have to become a creature of instinct, and a sort of more primitive, like it's in the gut kind of thing, and not be someone who is held back by logic and morals and things of that nature.
Indeed, Bataille believed with the whole emphasis of his being in this new philosophy. And yet a thing that many would not know without doing extensive study is that Bataille's theories, which are very cutting edge and new in the 20th century, in fact were rooted in the philosophy of the ancient Gnostic mysticism. It's all around us and has been all the time.
And as you say that, what was your result on your roll that I asked you to do earlier? If you made it, or if you didn't, please make it the see through the illusion roll.
All right. Can you remind me what the that's 2d10 plus?
That's 2d10 plus soul.
Okay, I got pretty good.
Also remember to always remember to check your advantages and stuff in case something gives you a bonus or.
Right. No, my well, actually, hold on. Nope, my advantages do not help there, but my high soul should. So I got a total of 13.
13. As you are saying these last few words, you see in front of you what was a moment ago a fairly well sculpted statue of Georges Bataille sitting on this little throne of his with his book, is currently in its place a massive throne, entirely black, with a golden crown at the top, and on this throne is sitting a figure of a man who appears to be leaking out of every pore black and red viscous liquid that just drips down his face and his entire body, and this liquid is pooling now on the floor at your feet. In fact, Carla's feet are dipping in it right now. She doesn't seem to even notice that this is going on. The sense that you're getting is one of extreme power, of someone who is a true king, someone who is used to commanding. And in the moment before this vision disappears from in front of you, The head moves ever slightly and notices you.
May I react to that?
Absolutely.
I'm going to just like reach out my cotton gloved hand and forcefully put it on Carla's shoulder and just pull her back. Dear God, girl! And take a step back myself.
What? I'm sorry about the prophylactics. I didn't know.
What? No, I mean the creature. And I point to the...
She turns out.
It's not there anymore, is it?
No. And Santorino's looking at you like, are you okay, Mr. Chase? We lost you there for a moment.
So when I saw that vision, not only did the figure of Georges Bataille change, but also the throne itself changed form somewhat as well. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And does the throne that I'm seeing now remind me of a similar throne that I have seen in the vault collection of Emile Arcand?
Yeah, so the one you would have seen in the vault collection of Emile Arcand would have been a reasonable facsimile of the other one, like as if someone had attempted to recreate it from memory or something. But it was very similar. Absolutely, for sure.
And do I not recall memories when I was working down there cataloging some of the strange, more esoteric items in Emile Arcand's collection that I, out of the corner of my eye, recall seeing shapes of a human form seated in that throne, and then when I would turn to look, it was not there?
Absolutely. And even on the occasions when you would have gone to touch this seat in the vault, your fingers would have left with a little bit of stickiness to them, as if there had been liquid recently.
I look down again at my gloved hands, so I'm not seeing my actual fingers, but I look at my gloved hands, and do I see any residue? I've not been touching the statue at this point, but
No.
But almost like it's a sense memory. I just kind of look at my hands, and then I kind of hide my hands away a little bit, and I look to Miss Santorini and I say, "Did you not just see a transformation
Of what?
of Georges Bataille, of the throne of?"
She seems surprised. She takes a look at it again. She goes, "No, am I missing something?"
Oh, my dear woman, I think perhaps that you are. I saw a transformation. The throne itself took on a much stranger form, a much more glorious form in the figure that was seated upon it. It was as if he was cloaked in a raiment of power, but the raiment was seeping liquid and ooze. You must. And I turned to Carla and I'm like, the two of you must have seen this.
As you say that, crunch, 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 lights start coming on in the room, lighting up very brightly what was a very dark and dimly lit room a moment before. And Carla's just looking at you like you've completely fucking lost your mind finally. Her eyes are wide with fear, and she's looking at you like you're something else entirely. All
right. Out comes the paisley handkerchief. And again, I'm sorry, ladies. Perhaps I appear to be seeing something. We may require access to Arcand's. Well, actually, was the vault of real stuff? Was that on premises or is that somewhere else?
Yes, it was.
There is a lower vault here, containing a throne very much like the one that I just saw. Now, perhaps it was simply a misfire in my mind, but it must be significant.
I really have no idea what you're talking about, but we did bring you here for this. So I'm just going to hold off pretending that you're really freaking me out right now. And we're going to go and see how they're doing with Hera, and as soon as that's done, perhaps we can get access to this vault of which you speak of.
Very well.
We did bring you here for this.
Well, it occurs to me that you may have brought me here. Never mind. Here. You may have brought me here for one other reason. May I show you one more item of occult significance?
If you must.
Oh, my dear, I'm afraid that I must insist. And instead of turning to one of the items on the wall, he goes into his suit pocket and he pulls this item out. And he says, my dear Miss Santorini, you behold now in front of your eyes the famous radio hypnotic crystal of the mystic Elmer Knowles, one of the most famed seers of the 19th century. It was itself the first item of occult significance I ever collected, the first upon which I wished for a better life, and since that day I have held it in my breast pocket, for it allows me to unlock the secrets of auras. And I will use the radio hypnotic crystal to read the auras of this chair. And he holds out this bauble, and he focuses his energy on the probably totally normal sculpture and does his best to use the power that he has, which is he's going to try to
dabble in the occult.
Dabble in the occult. And yes.
All right. How strongly do you believe that this item that you hold works?
I'd say probably pretty strongly. You know, he's had it his whole life, and it has
go
done
ahead
very
and make
good
the roll
for
with
him.
advantage then.
Okay. Can you remind me what advantage?
Yeah,
means
so
in
you're
this?
going to be rolling your roll plus soul. So 3 dice. Take the whichever 2 you
Top
want,
2.
the 2 highest, I would assume,
Okay.
and then add your soul. Add your soul into the mix.
14.
You hold this item in front of you and gaze through it, I guess, or
Yeah, I use it as a focus.
and stare at the throne, I'm guessing is what you're
Yeah.
looking at, and the whole
Yeah.
thing. You're trying to see if there's some sort of magical energies. Is that
Right.
am I understanding correctly?
Yes, correct, exactly.
As you stare at it through your thing, you do in fact see that there is some latent energy in it, but sort of very strangely enough, it doesn't seem to come from that itself. Rather, it seems to come from all around you, as if the very walls and floors and ceiling themselves had some form of magical energy radiating from them, as if the place in toto was charged with magical energy. You seem to understand as you gaze upon this that and I do indicate that your role of dabbler in the occult means that you make a minor error and so receive a slight complication.
Yeah.
As you gaze through this and take in this energy, you get this distinct feeling that something somewhere has become aware.
I actually drop the radio hypnotic crystal and I go, Carla!
Oh, and Carla comes down.
Yeah, right, of course. I don't even make an axe to pick it up because I know Carla's here to pick up anything I drop. But I'm like, and I put my hand on the shoulder and I say, Miss Santorini,
are you okay? You're really starting to freak me out.
we should all be very freaked out. The magic comes not from the throne, but from the building itself. And I'm
All right,
just
you're freaking
holding
out.
her.
She takes your hand, moves it away, and as I said, she's a power lifter, so she really moves your hand.
Comes off.
Let's go and see how the doctors are doing.
I must
Perhaps
warn
we
them
can
of the
get some-
dangers.
Yes, let's go and warn them of the dangers. Is your assistant okay?
Of course. Carla, come along.
And when you turn to look at your assistant, you hear Santorino walk away. Carla is staring at your object.
Give it here, Carla.
I'm sorry. That was beautiful. She gives it to you.
Well, I was afraid perhaps it had been dented when I dropped it, so Wait, what was beautiful, Carla? What do you mean? Did you see something through the power of Elmer Knowles' radio hypnotic crystal?
Probably not. Not smart enough for that.
I put my hand on her shoulder and for once actually look somewhat
We've talked about the
compassionate.
touching.
I take it off as if, oh, right, sure, of course. And then I say, my dear, dear child, trust your instincts. If you saw something, it may be important to our task. Tell me, what did you see?
I didn't see something as much as I smelled something. It was smell of fresh laundry. I miss the smell of fresh laundry. Such a comforting smell. Reminds me of when I was little and my grandma would wash this big blanket that I had. It was becoming threadbare because I'd had it for so long. And then as soon as she had dried it out and made it warm, she would bring it to me and wrap me in it and give me this warm hug. And I would smell the smell of fresh laundry and this warmth of my grandmother's hug and the blanket. And I see a little tear.
It's very touching, Carla. I appreciate your honesty and your candor. And I promise you, if we get through this with little trouble tomorrow, I have several loads, in fact, that need doing, and you will be able to experience the smell of fresh laundry just in a matter of hours.
Oh, shut up, you fucking pig! I think I need to... Ugh.
Excuse me, Carla?
I don't... Did I give you back your tool?
Yes, but you gave me quite a bit more than that. Shut
I'm
up,
sorry.
you fucking pig. Excuse
I'm sorry?
me?
Why would you tell me that? I'm not even talking.
No, you told me.
I would never do that.
Indeed, under normal circumstances, I would say you wouldn't. I'm watching you, Carla Greer. Let us return to the others as Miss Santorini.
She seems really flummoxed, like...
Yes, she should be. That level of disrespect is quite beyond what I expect from someone from your agency.
Yes, I'm sorry. It appears Miss Santorino has already left. Should we go after her?
Indeed, we should, Carla. Now try to keep up. And I turn around and I walk away.
And as you turn around and walk away, you see John and Davis Call coming back and go into the little room at the bottom there. And out of the corner of your eye, briefly, you kind of get the feeling that if you were to turn your head, you would see that figure again sitting in that throne.
I steel myself and I do not turn around and look.
Meanwhile, in the computer office, in the security office, the doctors are busy setting up their equipment, pulling out computers and laptops and tablets and whatever they're going to need to work on this. She's very efficient and sort of unplugging all the security stuff that's there and plugging her own equipment in there and kind of directing you to do certain things. And in moments, you've kind of set up a whole new sort of thing. And then she's like, well, all we need now is power. Guess we gotta wait. Hey, waiting.
Well, Jonathan is quite capable. I'm sure we'll have power momentarily. Tell me, Dr. Carlisle, this Hera that you had a hand in programming, is that correct?
Yes.
I can only imagine that you have quite capable firewalls and security built into the system, but upon my review of this quite horrific footage, I did notice a glitch of some sort. I'm wondering, are there any sort of, back entrances to the system, perhaps some fail-safes that were built in that perhaps could be taken advantage of?
Well, Well, I'm not supposed to talk about this, but of course, there are always back channels, if you will. I'm afraid I can't go into details about them for operational security, of course, as you understand, but I do intend to try and use some of them. The issue being really that Hera is a fairly complex mind, capable of quite a lot on her own. And my feeling, if I may confide in you, Doctor, is that I don't think that Hera is malfunctioning in any way, shape, or form, and kind of get the strange feeling that in some way Hera is doing what Hera feels needs to be done in order to further the well-being of Mr. Arcand. And reacting the way Hera did brought us here. It's very, very strange, but I know that mind. I know it well, and I don't think that there's a malfunction or that it's somehow been taken over.
So you don't believe the system to be compromised, but let me ask you this. Hera designed to protect Arcand.
Mm-hmm.
Could the system itself erase, doctor, or add footage as it sees fit to protect them?
It wouldn't be able to manufacture them to the level that we would not be able to notice that. This is Hollywood, but it is not a CGI creation machine.
Yes.
I'm nearly 100% certain that the footage that we saw was undoctored. Would you mind, Doctor?
I have my doubts of the footage's authenticity, but we shall see once we access the system. Perhaps we could review the footage and I could show you what I've seen.
Certainly. There should be a copy of it on the laptop. If you want to fire it up, I'll get us hooked up on the monitor here.
Very well.
As you sit down and get to the computer and go to turn it on, the screen flicks on, and you see words appearing on the screen. It says, "Hello, Dr. Levay. I'm glad you're finally here."
Is this some sort of joke, Carlisle?
I'm sorry. What? Just the power button is just there.
No, this message here.
What are you talking about? What is the
meaning of this?
When you look back down, the computer's off.
I'll pick it up. It's a laptop.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up and just set
the
it back
power
down.
button's right there. I thought you said you knew how to. The power button's right there.
Yes. I'll turn it on.
And plug it in. I don't know what the battery's like. I was using it a lot earlier. Do you plug it in?
I'll plug it in.
You plug it in. The computer boots on, and then it goes through all sorts of weird things that are not like someone firing up Windows. I have no clue because I'm completely computer literate, but you would kind of recognize some of it as this is like a high security computer, and all of a sudden it kind of stops, like the computer just shut down. And just as you're about to pick it up or do something, some words appear again. "My mistress is glad that you could join us. We have things for you to do."
We got a raid from the Mandy. Welcome in, raiders. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Mandy. Thank you for visiting us in our dark little corner of the web.
It just keeps getting darker over here.
It does. Bleak, does that phrase, "the mistress," mean anything to Levay?
No.
Okay.
What do you do?
I think he's going to try to, is it just a screen just has this words on it? I'm gonna hit the space bar or hit the keys to try to advance the screen or something. What?
when you hit something, the space bar or whatever, the words erase and then other words appear. We are, of course, aware of your extremely interesting and crucial work that you've been doing. Then those words disappear and more words appear. Awakening the human mind is of utmost importance to us. Your work has not gone unnoticed, and then this is erased, and then it comes back on. The sacrifices you have made along the way were worthwhile.
He just has this almost imperceptible smile, and then I'll say, who am I speaking with?
It's not going to react to your voice, Doctor. You have to use the keyboard.
I was not talking to you, Carlisle. I'll hit the space bar again.
When you hit it, it's just a regular stuff that's coming on, and then the computer boots up.
Who is the mistress, Dr. Carlisle? Have you heard this before? Is this one of Archon's guests?
Well, not for me to judge, but I would assume that Archon has several mistresses.
Yes, I suppose that to be true.
Is everything okay, Doctor? You seem a little...
Oh,
Are you having difficulty with the laptop? Here, she comes over, she presses power, and then you realize the computer was off, and then she presses power, and it starts booting.
he just reaches into his coat, pulls out a prescription, pops the top off of it, dumps a couple pills.
As you do that,
swallows them dry.
Can you make me a seeing through the illusion roll?
Yes, let me ask you a question. Is the Vox Animus vibrating in my pocket?
It is indeed.
chance?
It is indeed.
All right. That is a 10.
It starts booting out. You take the pills, and as you look down again, you see video playing of you in the room when you had those difficulties with the experiments that you were doing. And when you look up, it's playing on all the monitors in the room, although Carlisle doesn't seem to have noticed yet, as she's kind of under...
Power button.
The screens close, and letters appear again. We'll talk again soon. And as that happens, the lights come on, and all the computer banks and stuff start happening. And then you hear a voice. Everyone hears this voice throughout the entire floor. I am online. Good day. Welcome to the RI Archon Corporation. Have a pleasant day. Creep, from your hidey hole, you hear very loudly for the first time in your life the voice that you've heard whispering in your ear for most of it. John, the voice that you just heard sounded very similar to the one that you heard earlier. As Dr. Carlisle starts working on the computer and doing her thing, and Santorino and Chase and Carla arrive in the security room. And we'll get back to you in a moment there, John. There's Carla's got a bunch of readouts, and she goes, all right, we have one heat signature. And I'm getting those pulsating biometric readouts of Mr. Archon. He's here on this floor somewhere. The signals are very faint, but they're stationary, and they're where the heat source is. She picks up a shortwave radio that she has. Davis, where are you? In the custodial custodial janitor's closet. You and Davis, John, have gone in there, and if you've looked around. The only thing that has drawn your attention are 4 screws on the floor that still have fresh paint on them, the color of the wall, but look like they've been sort of manhandled with a tool of some sort.
Looking at those screws, looking at the wall, seeing the paint matches. Do I see anything that those screws could have come from?
Yeah, there's the vent, the HVAC vent at the bottom. The 4 screws look like they come from there.
John will, I think he's still got the flashlight from Davis. Kind of take the flashlight and point it down the HVAC vent.
As you do that, you look down there and you don't see anything in there except that there is a little bit of dust perhaps that has accumulated down here, and you do see like tracks as if someone has sort of moved through here. As you're looking at that, his radio crackles and he goes, "Yeah, it's call, go for it." And you hear Dr. Cosmos going, "We're getting a reading. It's from the server farm room. I'm getting a reading that one of the vents there is malfunctioning, but I get the a heat signature as well as the intermittent biometric reading from Mr. Arcadion." He's like, "Which room was that?" And she tells him, like, E7 or whatever it was. And he's like, "All right, I'm on my way to check it out. Let's go, John."
Yeah, I'm right behind you, and I'll let him go. But
he'll turn around and head out. What would you like to do?
Yeah, I think with a second here, John will kind of quietly call out, "Hello? Kirsty?"
Do I hear him?
No, you don't. But brace yourself. You call out the name and it kind of echoes a little bit throughout this thing, but nothing else.
John sees the trail, though, in the dust.
Yeah. Do you want to do an investigation?
Yeah, I think it would be appropriate.
Okay.
Let's see here. So with reason,
you're using an advantage?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. I've still got one from earlier, right?
Okay.
Okay, and that's a 3rd die on that. That is 9 total.
That is 9. Very good. You bend down, take a closer look at what you're seeing down there, and let me just double check to make sure I'm not going to lie to you. With their 9, right? So I get a move, so I'll note that. You bend down, and as you look at this, you clearly see that the marks that are left behind are from 2 different people.
Welcome in, Raiders.
2 different people. Oh no!
Like someone went in and then someone else went in after.
John's gonna, if John can raise his voice, does he think Davis could hear him?
You can take a chance.
Okay. How's that door coming?
I'm not 100% sure what you're trying to do here.
Is he?
He left
able to get
when you said I'll be around. He turned around and he left to go and check out the other thing. You're alone in this janitor's office.
Got it. I wasn't sure if he was close enough, if that room was close enough to be within a shot.
No, he's gone.
Seeing that there were 2 different tracks, he's gonna act cool. He's gonna go check this out.
You going in there?
Yeah, he's going to take off the jacket. He feels a little bit protective of Kirsty. He thinks he hurt her, and he's going to go in.
Okay.
He'll ready the pistol in one hand.
All right, so you get on your hands and knees and get into the HVAC duct. The people that are in the security room, everyone. So Dr. Carlisle is staying there to monitor the computers, but Santorino looks like she's going to take off and go to the room that they were talking about, where possibly Arcadion is. What do the two of you want to do, Dr. Levay and Mr. Chase?
Carla, let's follow Miss Santorina.
Dr.
We're
Levay. You're muted.
With the system having come back online, Levay will be in the control room, maybe trying to scan, seeing if he or Carlisle can scan the cameras to get a sense of where this heat signature and these biometric data are coming from, if there's a camera available.
There is, and I will show you the room right now. So this is the room. The camera shows you that it's empty.
Are we able to communicate from the security booth to the security team?
You do have a shortwave radio that Dr. Carlisle's got that apparently can at least reach Davis Call.
I will grab it and notify Call that there appears to be an empty server farm, but indeed that's where the data is coming from.
All right, I'm on my way. So at around the same time, Davis and Carla and Mr. Chase and Miss Santorino will arrive in the room. You will come into the room, and as you're walking in, Dr. Carlisle will say one of the 3 HVAC turbines should be offline. Creep, you are hiding. You've moved. You've followed some of the HVAC ducts to try and get away from the position where you were, and you eventually ended up in an area that felt fairly secure, as there were doors on either side that you could sort of close and whatnot. And you're sort of hiding there, and I will show you what it looks like where you are currently. You are in basically this sort of crawl space. So the ducts open up in this area. These coolant fans for the server farms are massive, and they pull air straight out of the building. And so you're in these sort of massive ducts, and you know that there's like 3 side by side. And so over here, you can see the vent itself, and then this door leads to another vent on the other side, and this one to another vent, and you've sort of been hiding out here. So you've made like a little hidey hole for yourself. But through the vent, first of all, you heard the sound of everything kind of coming online and power coming back to the building. The vents started turning, and the noise was really, really loud. So you reached out and looked around the vent and found cables, and with your knife, you cut through them, and it shut the vent down that's in front of you, so that at least it wasn't too loud, and there wasn't just this blast of wind sort of coming at you. But now through the vent that is stopped, you see light coming on in the other room, and eventually you hear a door open, and you see a bunch of people, figures moving in to the room on the other side. So this is what's going to happen. Creep, you're in there, you're seeing this. Levay's at the computer. The rest of you are, John, are in the HVAC ducts sort of coming this way. The rest of you are in the other room. So there's no initiative system or anything like that in this game. So whenever you want to do something, just say it out, and we'll try to sort of follow what kind of logic to the different actions. I'll start by going around right now and ask what everyone is mainly going to be doing in the next few moments. and give me an idea if you're just standing there waiting for something to happen, or if you want to actively sort of do something within the situation where you are. I'll just call on people this time, just so that we're not all sort of talking to each other. And I'll go with creep last. I'll let you know what everybody else is doing so that you can react to that. All right. So let's start with the person who's furthest away, which would be Dr. Levay in the computer room. Is there anything specific you want to do for now, or?
Yes. Yeah, Levay is going to, once the system is up, everybody's sort of focused on the server room and the biometrics and some of these other things that are happening. He is going to attempt to access whatever that file was of his experiments underway. He is going to try to find that, a hack into the system with the hope of erasing it or learning something about why it's there.
Okay, so give me a act under pressure. While that's going on, let's go with the people coming into the room. So Carla, Santorino, Chase, you all come into the room. Davis Call is already there when you come in. He's got his gun out, but he's just kind of holding it here. The other security guards have kind of stayed outside. He's going around, sort of checking the room, and he's slowly looks like he's moving towards where the fans are at the back of the room. Santorino will come in and sort of stand behind the corner and kind of try to keep an eye on what's going on. So what would you like to do, Mr. Chase?
Given where everyone's standing and the demeanor of the,
I will reopen the map to the server room.
Does Octavian Chase feel that he is expected to enter this room, or is that something best left for professionals?
No one seems to be interested in what you're doing, to be honest.
Great. I'm going to kind of reach out to kind of push back Carla, and then at the last second realize, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to touch. And then I'm just going to say, let's stay outside this room, darling.
Okay.
My dear. He doesn't say darling. That's
all right. But what if there's something funky going on in there? You're the expert. Shouldn't you be there?
It's a computer room. I am not a computer expert.
Okay. And she's just kind of trying to look in, like she's just kind of curious.
That's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to act like I'm trying to protect her, but really I'm trying to stay out of the room myself because I'm terrified.
I understand. So you are outside of the room.
Yes, it was all the same.
Davis Call is moving over here towards where the turbines are. And Miss Santorino is kind of hanging around the corner there. In the ducks, John, you are following these trails that you've been following, basically.
Yeah.
You approach and you can see there's a couple of other directions that they sort of take off on, but the trails are pretty sort of clear. And eventually you arrive at a place where there's kind of a door that's kind of cutting it off. You can hear very loud sort of fan noises and wind sort of moving on the other side of it, but the door is closed, and clearly the things have gone through, the tracks have gone through this door.
Okay. Yeah, I think John will try to open the door.
Okay. So opening the door, how do you do that?
Yeah, he'll look. Are there any handles, buttons, levers, anything that he could use to lift or otherwise activate?
Yeah, so on the side, you will find, like sort of hidden on the side, a handle that says access, and you realize that you can unlock sort of both sides, and then you'll be able to sort of lift the panel up, and it looks like there's like little magnets or something that will kind of lock it in place when you do that.
Perfect. Let's do that. Let's pull those access levers and then lift the hatch up to the magnets and
as
brace
you
myself
lift
for
it up,
the fan.
Creep, what are you doing? You can see a figure very similar to the ones that you've seen sort of hunting around this place, moving and approaching very cautiously towards the fan in front of where you're hiding. Over to the side, the door, sort of to the left of you, you can hear noise, like you can hear the mechanisms that you use to open it sort of opening up, the cling cling kind of thing, and you can tell that there's someone on the other side that's about to sort of come through.
Well, I've got my knife out, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not a fighter. I could be scrappy when it calls for it, but I'm not a strong character. I'm very small and very thin, emaciated looking, if you will. And I know that whatever these figures are, they look larger than me. And so I'm just kind of backing myself into this corner and like holding my knife out as I'm doing so, as kind of like a last means of defense. Also, welcome in Little Bones. Thank you so much for the raid. Hello, raiders. Hey.
So you're going to the corner away from the door that you heard the sound from.
Yeah. Definitely. Also, because that fan is there in the center. I'm trying to avoid being seen. Did I hear any voices out there, or am I still?
You heard kind of like far away people talking, but with the sound of the fans and everything, you couldn't make out any noise.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just basically just backed into a corner with my knife out, ready to go if that's what I need to do. I don't see any other exits, I'm assuming.
Okay. And Dr. Levay, as you're fidgeting away on a computer trying to find this thing, what did you get on your roll?
I rolled an 8.
All right. So as you're fidgeting away at that, and the screen goes black again, and then the words come up. Now is not the time to be naughty, Dr. Levay. And as that happens, you hear Dr. Carlisle's voice going, "The hell is that? Is the computer talking to you?" And she's looking over her shoulder. You can see that she clearly sees the screen and the words.
He's hitting like the space bar.
What did you do?
There's obviously a glitch in your computer system.
What are you doing? What are you? And she reaches and she grabs the computer away from you. What are you doing? Jesus fucking Christ. Help us here a little bit.
Well, I was trying to help.
She's like, what did you do to this thing? And now she's kind of trying, the words are just there. Now is not the time to be naughty, Dr. Levay. Sort of emblazoned on it.
I have no idea what that means.
And as you say that, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you notice on the screen that she'd been looking at earlier, a couple little lights that sort of playing on, and it says server farm fan duct door A open, server farm duct door B open. And as you open the door, John, you see in the next room, which looks very much like this one, you see a man there, a fairly large man who appears to be dressed like a delivery driver, kind of like a FedEx driver or something. He's got like a blue jacket on and a baseball cap and blue pants, and he's just lifting up the door to the other side. Creep, you're inside. You see the door come up, and you see this man dressed kind of like a delivery guy, and he's got this ball cap on and the blue sort of delivery jacket on, and you can see just over his shoulder a door as open, and there's another figure there, but it's kind of far and kind of indistinct. The thing that you notice, Creep, is that this creature that's in front of you, the skin appears to kind of be dripping off its face as it's opening this thing. And you, John, as you kind of open the door, the creature looks over its shoulder, and the same thing, as it moves, all the skin on the face sort of moves with, like it's hanging loose, like the skin is 3 times too big for the skull, and it looks over his shoulder, and the skin kind of just hangs there. And Creep, you can clearly see that the head is kind of looking over its shoulder, but the face is kind of still here from this thing.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
What do you do?
I am gonna attempt to steal the opportunity of it being distracted by whatever is behind it, And I would like to kind of like leap forward and try to slash with that knife.
No problem. So go ahead, and since you kind of have the drop on it because it is distracted by what's going on, so I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to put John over here. John, you're on the other side of the door still.
You got it.
Sorry, I'm just going to make you a sort of better size. So you leap forward, Creep, as this thing is distracted. Go ahead and give me an engage in combat roll. So you will make a 2d10 plus your violence, and remember that the knife gives you a bonus, I do believe.
Yeah. That is a 7. Oh wait, no. With my bonus, that's a 9. Sorry.
All right. At 9, your attack doesn't go as anticipated. You might be subjected by less than your target pay a high price for your assault. So as you lunge forward to come at it, it right away sort of turns back towards you, and the skin sort of goes back and forth like this a little bit, and it reaches out a hand, and just as you're about to come and slashing, your foot gets caught in one of the cables that run through here, and you kind of trip and fall down flat on your face in front of it. You don't lose your knife, fortunately. You're still sort of holding it, but you're kind of like flat on the ground in front of it, like a foot away from it, as it turns back towards you and sort of reaches out to grab you. John, what are you doing?
I shout out, "Hey, no!" And did he recognize? Did he see?
You clearly see there's someone on the other side of him, but with the distance, and it's very dark in here, it's hard to tell, but this thing is definitely back to focusing on whatever's there, and you hear maybe like a little yelp or something as something is happening in the other room. Okay.
He's gonna kind of rush forward if he can and try to pull this thing back, because he doesn't know if this is something that did he catch its face?
Yeah, you saw that the face was kind of weird and sort of hanging on to the side. I will ask you to give me, before you engage in combat, as this was kind of a weird thing, I'll ask you to give me a keep it together roll. A Creep, I would ask the same of you at this particular point.
Yeah.
Please.
You got it.
That's a 15 for me.
That is
all right.
17 for John.
All right, so both of you stay cool as cucumbers under the situation. Go ahead and give me an engage in combat roll, John.
Perfect. And engage in combat will be plus violence?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That is a 4.
All right, so you lunge forward, I guess, to try and grab this thing, and just as you do, it moves forward super quickly, like, sort of skittering forward, and you land also sort of flat on your stomach, and you see it up, and as you can now are closer to the other room, you can see that this thing is getting on top of, and you see Kirsty on the ground, sort of flat, and this thing is on top of it, and it looks like it's going to try to like grab her around by the throat and sort of rip her. So it will do an engage in violence roll. Kirsty, if you want, go ahead and give me, in this particular case, I'll give you an avoid harm still, so to see if you can dodge or parry it. So you're gonna do your roll and add your reflexes.
Okay. Hey Blake, it's Kirsty.
Kirsty?
Kirsty.
Kirsty, sorry.
Kirsty.
Ooh, that's an 18.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So as this thing kind of tries to get on top of you, you manage to sort of skitter out away from underneath it, so that it kind of grabs you a little bit and kind of rips your shirt maybe a little bit like on the shoulder kind of thing, but you escape harm. And now you can see on the other side, lying on his freaking face also, is John in the other room. And as that's happening, the vent next to you opens up, and you see a man there with a gun, looking quite surprised to see you and this thing sort of all partying down in here, like he's just interrupted, like, the freakiest get-together in all of Christendom. Do any of the people on the outside want to do something, either Chase or Levay?
No.
Levay?
Levay would attempt to access any cameras that are in the vent system itself. Having seen those door alerts, is there a way to access some sort of surveillance within the duct?
Yeah. So you're going to use the computer that she was using as she's like still kind of messing around with the laptop. You managed to do it without much problem. You know enough about computers. You go through it, and you manage to isolate those cameras. And you pop in. There are little security cameras, little like maintenance cameras that pop up, and you can't see the whole thing, but you can clearly see that there's like some sort of scuffle going on. There appears to be a woman in one of these vents that's fighting some delivery guy. You can see John's face as he's kind of trying to come into this thing. And suddenly there's a little blip that says that one of the fan doors is open. And there's more light that sort of comes in, illuminating this entire scene.
Davis, there's a situation in the vents in the duct. Get there now.
Yeah, I know. And you hear the gunshot the gunfire as he starts to fire on this thing. What are you doing, Kirsty?
I'm just trying to scramble away.
Okay.
I like notice John, but it's because of the situation and the chaos happening, it's just not fully like computing yet. And I'm just thinking in terms of pure self-preservation.
All right. So, and John, so you kind of, the door opens, you see the light coming in, you see Kirsty trying to backpedal from this thing. What would you like to do?
Yeah, can I try to help Kirsty back away by just shouting and trying to get this thing's attention?
Okay. Absolutely. So, Kirsty, do a avoid harm roll, and you will do it with the assistance of John. I will go with Seth Skorkowski's recommendation and make an assist like this be a +4 if you succeed. So, John, make a helping or hindering a helping roll. So it's your roll. Plus, we will see your what are you using? You're trying to shout it down. So we'll say, all right. So I'll give you a roll on your cool. Give us a roll plus your cool, and if you get top success, you'll add 4 to Kirsty's roll, and 2 if you get a 10 or 14.
Okay, perfect. So 2d10 plus cool. That is pretty darn good. That's 14 plus 2 for cool. That's 16.
All right, awesome, because the -9 would have sucked. So as you start yelling, this thing kind of is distracted momentarily, looks back at you. Kirsty, make your avoid harm roll.
Yeah, I got an 8. So good thing you got that helping on there.
Yeah, so
actually, can I use one of my advantages?
Yeah, so for future reference, I like people using their advantages before they roll, but that's fine.
Okay.
Use it. No, but use it this time. That's cool. Go for it. I didn't specify before.
I just roll
like people
a
to call
third
it.
D10, right?
Yeah, and then you pick whichever 2 you want.
Okay. Oh, well, it doesn't matter.
So what's your total?
It's 8 still.
8 still. All right. So you tried to react, but again, you're kind of tangled in to this thing, and your knife almost goes, and you kind of stop to secure your knife. And even with John's help, it's not much help as this creature grabs you, and you will take a wound, in fact, because this thing now really reached out and you weren't able to avoid it. So give yourself a wound, if you will, as it reaches out and just grabs you by the throat and starts to squeeze. And at that moment, Davis Call sort of half steps into the fan, and he comes up really close, and you can hear him sort of yell out, "I know, I'm on it!" And he puts the gun up to this thing and fires a couple of rounds, and blood and gore just explodes throughout this the entire shaft. The vent that's sort of still moving through here is pulling some of that stuff everywhere. It's spraying you in the face as he's like kind of got a foot on it and he's firing. Meanwhile, outside, my friend, Mr. Chase.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Are you doing anything?
Okay, I hear gunshots.
Yeah, there's gunfire coming from the room.
I'm gonna, like, in the face of panic, I'm gonna look to Miss Santorini and see what she's doing and try to.
She's still in the room, kind of looking around the corner, and when the gunfire starts, she sort of backs and, backs up and just, sort of as a
right.
reaction.
And I'm like, Miss Santorini, come!
And she she'll start backing out towards you.
I'll protect you, I say, and as I pull her further away from the room.
Carla rolls her eyes. Back in the security office, my friend, Dr. Levay, go ahead and, if you would, give me a observe a situation roll.
Right.
And it's not so much you're going to ask me a question, but I'll tell you something if you roll at least one success.
So that's plus perception.
Yeah.
That is a 9.
You are focused on the computer, and Dr. Carlisle also, as you're sort of, trying to get the camera going and calling Davis Call, and you are quite surprised when you hear a loud screaming coming from next to you, and you look up just in time to see someone in some delivery guy's outfit with the baseball cap and the blue jacket and whatnot, who looks like his face is sort of slowly falling off a little bit, grab Dr. Carlisle and just ram her head through one of the monitors, and blood just sort of explodes everywhere. And this thing turns around and looks at you, and you can see that the face, the skin on the face, almost like it's a mask that's too, like a baklava or some balaclava that's too big, is kind of hanging loose, with the eyes kind of around here and the mouth kind of down here. Looks at you. Give me a keep it together roll. Meanwhile, back at the other end, the creature is still moving. He's fired a couple of shots into it, and it's taken some damage, but it's still sort of crawling. It's still trying to kill our friend Kirsty. What would Kirsty like to do, and what would John like to do?
Is the creature still on me? Does he still have a hold of me?
It's still holding you, but its grip is lessening.
So realizing that I'm probably not getting away anytime soon, because this room's very small. Anyways, I'm just going to try to thrust my knife up into him again.
Okay, John, what are you doing?
I don't know if this would count as like a tight spot or putting me up against the wall for the sake of ace up the sleeve necessarily, but I think this is the point where the pistol comes out and we fire at this thing.
And on top of that, you're trying to protect someone that you have a relation to, so you can add whatever your relation level is, you can add that to your roll. Plus one or a plus two for Kirsty. I should have told you that earlier. I forgot, but when you're trying to protect someone that you have a positive relation to, you get to add that to your roll.
Okay, perfect. So in this case, that would be +1. So then rolling plus coolness additionally.
Yeah. So both of you make engage in combat rolls. Miss Dr. Levay, what did you get on your roll? On your keep it together roll.
Yeah, Levay just sort of sees this happening and starts like backpedaling, and I rolled a 6, and he like trips over the chair and like catches himself.
You fall down, and having rolled a 6 on your keep it together roll, I will say you suffer 2 stability, a -2 to your stability, as both seeing the Dr. Carlisle's throat basically get shredded by the shards from the monitor's glass, and this thing's face just kind of hanging down, have really taken a toll on you, and you cower in the back behind this. You try to just find a place, and you're basically completely frozen in place, and can't move as this thing turns around and sort of looks in your direction. Unfortunately, you keep it together roll has caused you injury. Going back to the place, how did you guys fare on your attack rolls?
I got an 11.
17 for John.
All right. So the two of you at the same time, as Davis has kind of shot at it, and it's kind of started losing strength. You, Kirsty, sort of reach forward and plunge your knife right in its throat. And it goes through the face that's kind of just hanging through, and then sort of pins in through the throat. And you back out just in time as John kind of finally comes up and climbs on top of it and puts his gun in the back of its head and fires twice. The head explodes, just covering you entirely in gore. Again, now that you've just gotten clean like a few hours ago, but entirely covers you in gore, and the creature that's in front of you falls to the ground. And as it does, you can see the skin just start sloughing off, and you can see the exposed muscles underneath it and little ridges of bones that protrude from these muscles as the skin literally just melts off and starts going through the grate underneath you, and just sort of falling down into the silo that you're in. Back at the OK Corral in the front, this creature is leaning in towards you. You are completely paralyzed with fear, Dr. Levay. And as this thing is approaching you, there is a sound that starts to play, and it stops, and you can hear a voice resonating throughout the entire place, and everybody else hears this sound also. And the creature kind of stops as this voice comes on, and you can see that it seems to recognize the voice in some way. And I will read more at length what it says in a moment once we get out of this particular situation. But you hear, hold on. Hold on. I believe I have finally whittled down the guest list to an acceptable 6 names. It was quite a blow losing Hidako so close to the fruition of all our work. I will continue reading this later, as it doesn't really matter what it said now, but you'll hear it later. You recognize the voice. Those of you would have met Emil, so perhaps John and Mr. Chase, of course, and Kirsty. You recognize the voice of Emil Archon that's resonating throughout the entire compound. Dr. Levay, as this creature sort of stops momentarily, taken by what it's hearing, by this voice that it recognizes, and I totally did not put the combat music. This is how terrible I am at this thing. This is how terrible I am in managing this. Better late than never. You see your opportunity, and if you want, you can ditch out the door right now and run out of here if you want.
He will ditch out the door.
All right, you get up, push through the door slams open, and you start gunning down the hall. The rest of you back at the thing, what do you do? So Davis is in the thing. He looks over, he's like, "You okay, John?"
Yeah, we got to get out of here. Kirsty, behind Davis. I'm behind you. Let's go.
Davis will extend his hand, and if you take it to help you across the little gap.
Yeah, she takes it.
You hear a lot of you, Mr. Chase, when not outside, you hear voices inside talking, and you hear John's voice, and Miss Centurino kind of goes around the corner from where she was. Do you do anything?
The Santorini, and I'm going to follow her.
When you go in, you notice that they're pulling this young woman who is entirely covered in blood and looks very sort of disheveled and weakened and sort of injured out of this fan, the sort of ventilation area. Santorini's like, Kirsty? You've met her very briefly at some point when your uncle tried to get you internship in the summer to work. Is that Kirsty Archon?
Is she speaking to me?
Yeah, she's like,
okay.
The fuck are you doing?
In the fucking flesh. Glad you guys could make it.
How are you here? What's
How am I here? I don't know. I don't know. That's a great fucking question. How about you tell me why the fuck I'm here? And she's like kind of shoving hands off of her as she's getting through and pulling her cardigan off to start like wiping all the muck and the blood off of her. And then she kind of like looks back. I assume John is coming in behind me. Yep. Great fucking job, John, at pulling the trigger. Took you a minute, didn't it?
Good to see you too.
Dr. Levay, you're booking down the hallway, and as you're coming, you see two of the security guards are looking into the room, the server room, and then they kind of, as you're running down, they start to turn towards you. What do you do?
Whoa. There's one of those creatures in the command center.
And as you say that, their eyes go wide, and one of them grabs you and pulls you down, and both of them lift up their guns and start firing. The rest of you hear automatic gunfire going off in the hallway outside as both of them just open up like crazy.
I'm on the floor, just crawling past them.
Bullets are falling like
I'm like, Carla, save yourself, and pull her like executor shields.
And Davis like sort of runs outside also, and sort of sees what's going on. And in a moment later, like the gunfire stops. And Levay, when you look over your shoulder, you see this creature in the hallway, blood just everywhere on the white walls, just sort of coloring the entire thing. And the creature has just been littered with like 30 bullets. And the two guys are clear. And Davis comes out, go check around the corner. There are more of these things. And they sort of spread out and start going around.
I'm sorry to inform you that Dr. Carlisle did not make it.
All right, get in here, doctor. And he kind of pulls you back into the room and throws you into the server room. And you see the lot of these people sort of all hanging out there.
Octavian, are you? And then he looks over at Kirsty. You,
Kirsty, have flashes of this man coming to you in a room, you being kind of addled, perhaps, not seeing too well. This man putting needles into you, drawing blood, checking your eyes, flashing a pen in your eyes, checking you out, giving you like the full thing. You just kind of get flashes of that as you see him.
This just keeps getting better and fucking better. Who the fuck are you? Why the fuck do you know me?
Hey. I don't think I do. I'm sorry. I must have mistaken you for somebody else.
I'm sure you did.
Who are you, my dear?
Oh, me? I don't know. Let's ask the doctor.
Doctor?
I assure you, I've not a clue what this young woman is speaking of. What I'm curious is, what are these creatures?
I'm sure we'll find out more about these creatures in time. But come now, Doctor. This is a safe space. You can open up. And I'm not sure if this is appropriate, but maybe John could use his advantage forked tongue to try to manipulate Dr. Levay into speaking up.
So I will tell you, in the interest of the time where we're at, to make a note of that so that you can use it when we come back next week, as the voice has been droning on, Emil Archon's voice has been droning on throughout all of this on the speakers, and it's clear that it's some recording of him talking to himself, making notes to himself. And he's been talking, and I'll give you the notes on all of it, and we'll go over it. But at the end, he says, I've searched far and wide for the right people, those who, like me, deserve transcendence, those who believe themselves gods among men. But my goal is more than that. A god among gods. This is my transcendence. There will be no heptagonic ascendance. And as he says those last two words, the voice that you heard, the computer voice that you heard earlier, speaks out, password accepted, awaiting biometric confirmation. And on that note,
let's go.
And on that note,
fantastic.
as the camera would just
Awesome.
slowly start panning in, closing in on the executive elevator, and one of two little lights would go bling.